This is S4. Sit back, relax, and keep your eyes to the skies.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to S4, where we talk about the serious issues involving paranormal and current events, coming to you live from the S4 headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains of Washington State. And we are all, well, kind of refreshed and recovered from our 24-hour marathon, and moving on into September. So, we are doing Roundtable tonight, which is kind of awkward for many, I know, because usually it's the third week, but the third week is actually going to be an astral show back with Tony again. So that's pre-booked. So tonight we have Barry Gaunt, Kentucky MUFON director. We got Francie Bullock Miller, our S4 psych therapist, and we have Arnold Hampton, our now permanent S4 park ranger. He's going to be on Roundtable with us every month now. And of course Markham. I forget Markham because he's sitting here in the studio and he's, just part of the crew. So how are we all doing tonight?
Excellent.
Super.
Excellent. Barry?
Oh, we're doing fantastic.
you sound much more
alive.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh,
it's showtime.
That was funny at 4:45. You made it till 4:45 p.m. That was you did phenomenal.
Well, I was lucky. Man, I'm telling you, it was like, oh my gosh, that was rough on me.
It was rough on everybody.
It was rough on all of us. I don't think I want to do a 24-hour marathon. I was thinking about a 48-hour marathon for Halloween, but
you're nuts.
Oh yeah.
You're doing that one yourself.
Yeah, So
that's a little order for sure.
We wouldn't make it. There's no way in hell.
And can you imagine the last couple episodes if we did? Oh, those poor listeners. I've never heard of her.
So, we also run a community group for East County, not paranormal related, but on community issues. And something came up here about middle of last week about someone that went to Upper Finney and had a whole lot of. And it's interesting because I started this group in 2014. And anytime I mention paranormal in that group, oh my God, it went haywire. People just, oh, you're just nuts. Oh, you're crazy. And over the years, in the last 2 years, more and more people are talking about Bigfoot and oh my God, you guys see lights in the sky and things like that. So now they're more comfortable, or I don't know if it's just because we have new blood that moves into the community and they're a little more open-minded. I don't know what's changed. Or if it's just there's, paranormal's becoming more accepted. I don't know. So, when we start seeing paranormal topics that we don't bring up in a community group, we kind of have to. We're kind of obligated to take it serious. And so in light of that, Upper Finney is also where about 3 years ago I went on a Bigfoot investigation, not an expedition, but an actual sighting report that we actually went up and checked out. And it's in the same area. So this is also the same area where UFOs go from White Horse Mountain in Darrington, which is on the other side of the mountain from us, to Mount Baker. And these have been reported for many years. with multiple people that are seeing these lights. So it's also a UFO area, not just Bigfoot. And then across the mountain range from Higgins Pass, where we actually did the Bigfoot investigation, it's blacked out, which usually indicates some kind of government facility, some kind of government something going on there.
Well, not only that, but South Skagit has had a lot of different spirit reports as well.
And it's the same mountain range.
Yep. Yeah.
So, this whole mountain range, and so for the listeners that have heard us talk for the last 4 years, I always talk about Haystack Mountain. Haystack Mountain is the mountain that's right behind my house. Finney Creek runs behind this mountain. So, if you want to look for a tie, I think Finney Creek, upper and lower, are really catalyst to whatever's going on here. So in light of that, the 19th and 20th, we are going on an S4 expedition camp out overnight. We are taking security. We're taking weapons. We have to. It's also bear country, cougar country. So there's, mundane threats as well as potential paranormal.
Cougars? Older women that...
No.
Well, my mom is fine.
Yeah, that's true. Quit calling my mother-in-law security. I told you, she's bait.
Hey!
Oh, God.
Come on now.
All right. So, stay tuned for more information on that. We'll be doing a show just on our findings later on. So, how's everyone doing? I know I already asked that. But let's jump into Roundtable now. Honorable, what's your first question?
My first question...
He wrote them down on your paper.
I sent a video to you, Eric, but just trying to maybe be able to help explain it. But when I took the video in slow motion of my bathroom in my new apartment and see the light go really flickering quick and then real bright, and you see the dark figure walk from left to right going into the bathroom. The reason I'm asking what would cause this is the newspaper guy, when he came out to film, take photos, is when he took two pictures, one after the other. One showed the bathroom light on and a dark floor. The other one was the light was off with the light on the floor. What would be causing that?
So, first thing you need to do is figure out what the history of that apartment is. And go beyond that and figure out what was on the land before the apartment was built. And with that, you want to find out if there were any deaths in the building, deaths in the apartment. Because looking at the video, there's definitely a shadow that's walking through the strobe light.
And that light above the restroom, above our vanity in the bathroom, doesn't do that normally. It's just when I did that, but it's interesting that when the photographer took the picture and he sent it to me, that on the first one, the light's out with the light on the floor, or vice versa, the light's on and the floor is dark. And stuff, so, yeah, okay.
So, what's interesting is he's only stuck to the hallway in the bathroom. That's the only time you've seen this shadow, right?
Yeah. Right across from the bathroom is a pantry closet that we linens and other stuff. That's the only thing across from that.
Has anybody had anything going on as far as being touched in the bathroom or feeling like that someone's staring at them?
No, this thing doesn't seem to do that like in other places we've lived in.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, this one just seems to walk into the bathroom. I guess he's got to use the restroom, whatever.
Right.
But, I mean, there's no, when it goes in, we don't hear any water turn on. The toilet doesn't flush, stuff like that. We don't hear any noise. It's just that figure walk across.
Now, does this only happen at specific times during the day? Or night, or, does it happen at the same time?
I wanted to do more investigations, and I haven't done it to see if it happens at different times. But what caught my eye again was that I didn't know so much about it until the photographer says, "What's going on with your bathroom?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Until you sent me the 2 pictures, and I'm like, "Okay, that's odd." So that's when in the next couple of days, I took that video, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah." So I need to investigate.
Okay, because all I was thinking is it could be some kind of residual image, like a residual spirit.
But what's interesting is this photographer wasn't even paranormal. He was a newspaper reporter.
Right.
I mean,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
and that speaks volumes by itself. For him to come up and go, "What the hell is this?" Yeah.
Yeah, he literally told me, he goes, "What's wrong with your haunted bathroom?" or whatever is how he put it to me, and I'm like, "What do you mean?" And, he told me, and I'm like, "Okay." Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, you know, I would check and see if it happens at the same times.
Okay.
And I would, because if it's not doing anything other than just walking from point A to point B,
that's what I told him.
I'm thinking it's probably more like a residual spirit. Or like something trapped in a loop, so it just plays out that one piece.
Yeah, and that's
Could
fine.
be.
But it was just kind of weird and creepy because we're other places we live, things like that have actually done things to more of my wife than me.
And I would also
God, can you imagine spending eternity like going to the bathroom?
No.
Well, it's not actually like spending eternity doing it, and actually most of the time with the residuals like that,
Well, yeah.
It's just a piece of time. So it would be more like a time lapse than anything else. Like
Right,
you are
it's
looking
like-
into that era at that time at that minute.
It's like playing a record.
So it's not like the spirit is actually
No,
trapped
there's-
just going back and forth in a hallway the rest of their life.
Good.
There's no intelligence there. You're not gonna. That's not the kind of spirit you're gonna get an EVP. You probably won't even really get an EMF reading. You might because of the energy, but it's not an intelligent paranormal event.
Yeah, basically that's just like a piece of, like if you got up, you walked to the kitchen, and for some reason in that moment and in that space of time, it just continuously looped that at one time a day. So you wouldn't feel anything from it. The spirit doesn't even know that it's in there doing that, you know?
Now with that, you could probably safely sage your apartment.
The only thing that I would worry about is you had said that there seems to be some attachment to your wife as far as moving from different place to different place and having some form of spirit continuously follow her from place to place. So I might have somebody come and check and to make sure that she doesn't have some form of spirit attachment that needs to either be passed over or has a message or something for her.
Right.
Well, Eric, and you can talk to also. We talked to you about when we lived in the motorhome, and the spirit would push her out of the motorhome when I wasn't there, want her out of it and stuff. But when I was in the motorhome, it would leave her be.
Does it feel like it's the same one?
No, she says no. And
Okay.
yeah, so she would know. Like I said, since the motorhome and other issues have happened in the past, yeah, this one, no. It just is like it's stuck there.
Yeah, okay. Then that's the residual. As long as she doesn't have the other one still following her, then yeah.
So, but yeah, okay.
How long have you lived in the house?
Since the 15th of the month.
Yeah, they just moved in.
Do you own it now, or are you running it, or?
We're renting it. It's an apartment based out of West Olympia, Washington.
Okay.
How far is that from us?
Olympia is
way closer to you
south
than it
of
is
you.
to us, but it's like an hour and a
Apartments are
half
kind
south
of
of you.
rough.
Yeah, it's past Fort Lewis.
Oh, okay. I'm in
How
Bellevue.
many people live near you? Are you on a floor, or do you have?
We're on the bottom floor, and there's 2 apartments. Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 apartments that are connected to us, and then on the other side there's more. So
Want me
it's
to
a
investigate?
huge.
If you want to go down there, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the other panels think, but I know from my experience,
He was on
I think
before,
one of the
right?
hardest things that I tried not to get involved in is apartments, because of the fact that the spirit has plenty of places to go. It may be hanging in someplace else. It could go all over the place. It depends on where it goes. So it may be coming in to see you. Wanting to find out more about you, see what's going on. It can be, they're terrible to get rid of because they always can run. They have plenty of places to go. I would be, if you start getting friendly with some of the people around you, I would probably start asking, hey, have you ever anything weird going on? Like, you ever seen anything paranormal around here? And see what they are, because it's hard to be able to find records of anything that would have happened there. Maybe know if someone had passed in the apartment, if there was a person that was doing some kind of weird mumbo jumbo. There may be people that are doing it around you.
You can also go on. Did somebody, I can't remember the name of the site, but there's did somebody die here, and you punch in an address and it tells you somebody died. So I'm going to give your number to Markham. He's working in Seattle now anyway, and he can come down and do some investigating for you.
Okay. The only other thing that I would worry about too is I didn't realize you had moved in so shortly.
Yeah.
So with that, it could really just be like a reconnaissance, like checking out who just moved into this new place,
right.
And it might just be a matter of we wanted to make sure that our apartment that we'd lived in for X amount of years went to somebody that was going to take care of it or anything like that as well.
And that's and that's the thing. If it's only going from the hallway to the bathroom, though, I'd still stick with residual.
Mm-hmm.
But
how reliable is it? I mean, is this something that happens on a fairly regular basis, or is it real sporadic like most hauntings?
It's happened a few times. I don't, do it every night or look for it every night type thing, because we're doing other things with my wife for medical issues and stuff. So I'm going. And sometimes I forget, but it's always there in the back of my mind. Is like, what is it? But as long as it's not bothering us, I'm sort of okay with it.
Right.
So
where they go, though, we don't know. I mean, yeah.
So start a journal. Every time you see it, just put down the date and time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you can actually establish a pattern.
Yeah. We can establish a pattern, then I'll know when to set things up.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's got infrared, he's got IR cameras, we got EMF, we got SP7s.
All kinds of fun.
So, we can actually establish it scientifically as well.
Okay.
Yeah, just keep a journal. Every time you cite it, just note the date and time.
For that one, it's
direction of travel.
Okay.
And one thing you could do is research your area. What you might have is your current apartment complex is built over an old ruin or you may be in a place that burned down. There might be some kind of backstory to the neighborhood.
Okay. That would be cool. I can do that.
Excellent. Yeah, you got all kinds of time.
Yeah.
Well, hey, so Francie, what's your first question tonight? Francie.
Okay. Hold on, I gotta wake up my computer because I've got it written down.
You're muted.
Pooter.
I heard the click.
Okay. Well, shoot.
Bang.
Thank you. I've got two questions that are kind of related. The first is, I have heard that people with serious addiction problems, like alcoholism, drug abuse, and that's my dog in the background. She's playing with her toy. Are are susceptible to attachments from spirits who were also addicted in life and want to vicariously experience, they're still addicted. And so they attach themselves to people with addictions.
Conversely, you can have somebody with no addictions that gets an attachment, then they take on the addiction if they're susceptible to start with.
Most of the time, they already have an addictive personality,
Mm-hmm.
and that's that's really what stems the problem.
Yeah, if they have an addictive personality, even if they're not currently, doing anything, but if if they've got the genetics or they've got that part of their brain is wired for that makes them attractive to certain entities. So you can get an attachment that, shoehorns itself in, and then a person might not be acting on the addiction, but after the attachment, then they do.
Well, and you got to think, too, with addiction comes a lot of stress, a lot of, for a lot of people, suicidal thoughts, for other people, sadness and depression. When you have that and you're living in that bubble, you're going to have a lot more attachments coming to you that feed off of that as well. Because if you are in constant...
of the energy.
That'll be me in about 2 months when we do the time change and it starts getting dark early. I get the damn...
Get a sad light.
I'll have to do something because it
so if a thing
out.
If it feeds off of your fears, your insecurities, and different things like that, then it wouldn't necessarily be even because you're an addict, but because most addicts have something that drove them to that in the first place. That is a fear or an insecurity.
Chaotic.
Exactly. So you're going to get a lot of things that will feed off of that energy that you're giving off. So it wouldn't necessarily be because they're trying to live and become addicts again through them, but more that they're trying to feed into their fears and their anxieties.
So do bars pose like a problem for it? Like I'm sorry. Blah, blah, blah. Do spirits that are looking for that kind of energy hang around bars?
Probably.
I would say some of them would, but honestly, not everybody that goes to a bar is an alcoholic or an addict either. So you're gonna have.
I mean, like, if you got, I'm thinking of
if you were an alcoholic and you died, I would imagine that hanging out in a bar would be comfortable.
Well, it would be the same for any spirit. It's wherever you spent most of your time in life, you're going to want to be there in death. So if you were really, really attached to a specific bar, a specific bartender, or whatever it is, then yeah, you would hang out there. Just like if you were a person that didn't leave your house very often, you would hang out in your house. Or
that'll probably be me. I'll haunt my house.
For some spirits, a specific bar might be home.
Like Cheers. Those guys are probably still there.
I wouldn't think so, just because that's a TV show. No, I'm kidding.
I'm just teasing. I'm teasing.
You know what? It's cool because in the New York airport, I can't remember the name of
JFK.
Yeah, there you go. In the JFK airport, I think it was. I've been
or the Newark airport. It depends on which one.
No, it'd be JFK. I've been to so many freaking airports that it was JFK. I can't remember why I was in that one. But they actually have Cheers. And they have mannequins also. I mean, you can't go in. You can only look in the window. It's in the airport. And they actually have mannequins.
That's creepy.
Oh, no, it's cool.
I think it was cool that on Deep Space Nine, the perpetual barfly, Morn, that was Norm. I mean, he was direct. He was actually they deliberately set that up to be an homage to Norm at the of Cheers.
Well, they actually had, Woody Harrelson. Wasn't he? He's original Cheers, wasn't he?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, he replaced the old coach.
Yeah, he was actually a mannequin in there. And, I mean, they had all the actors mannequins.
That's kind of cool.
There. All set up just like the TV shows. It's pretty cool. But you know,
funny that I worked in a bar for many years. Owned one many years back, but working in them and seeing them and being into paranormal at the same time, I have seen some very weird things go on in a bar, and I've seen some weird people act different or take something out of it because of the fact that I think that people come in there that may have an attachment, and it may stay for a while and jump on someone else.
That's what I was wondering.
It's
That's
paranormal
exactly
meat
what I was
market.
wondering. So, tell tales. What did you see?
Well, because I'm involved in the paranormal, I've seen a lot of pictures. I've seen some pretty weird photos of almost like whisper type things that are like one of the ones that ring my bell looked like a gremlin head and face, and I believe he jumped on a woman and left with that woman, and she was so different after that, it was ridiculous, and she just went down to sheer ruin. She had all kinds of different problems with vehicles and everything else. It tormented her. Things would break down on her all the time, everything else. So she had really bad luck. Unfortunately, she didn't believe in that stuff and just thought it was hokey pokey, but she suffers with it. I haven't seen her in a long time, but I do know that she suffered tremendously. She didn't have any problems with it until after, like I said, when you're in a bar and you're dealing with the paranormal and you have certain things, you know that there's something in there, and then it will lift because it jumps on somebody else. I mean, it will go with someone else.
Well, alcohol is an inhibitor, and it makes it so that you do not. You're not in your right mind when you're using it.
Right.
You're opening yourself up.
You're opening yourself up to it.
You're making yourself
It
susceptible.
lowers inhibition.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that you never do on a paranormal investigation. What's
Drink.
the number one rule? Do not drink on the paranormal investigation because
Drugs and alcohol have no place.
No.
Right.
As far as that's concerned.
Paranormal and the alcohol, if you're involved in it, get the heck out of it because it is trouble for you. Because you are so open. You don't have any control of it. The alcohol takes over and it allows things to come in. If you had protection or if you had anything like that, it's gone.
Yeah,
Because
it'll
you're just
lower your
susceptible.
shields immediately because you're not focused on them anymore.
Right, exactly. So
And-
you're just wearing it now.
And adding to it, I think it depends on the bar.
Well,
And it depends on your reasonings for being there too.
You take a bar like I'm talking TV again, but you take a friendly bar like Cheers.
Right.
You're going to have a happier atmosphere. I mean, maybe not always, but you take a very, and we all have them in our communities. You take the bar that's known for the fights, that's known for the aggression, that's just known for the assholes.
Yeah.
It can go two ways. It can be spirits stuck there that are causing the aggression and the fights, or it can be spirits that are stuck there. It could be, and those spirits or entities in general could be the attractor for the more aggressive, violent behavior of people.
Right. The bar I'm speaking about, and I'll tell you what it was like, and it had so much different traffic in it from all over the country because it's off of an exit off of I-65, and it is in a hotel, basement of a hotel. It's attached to a hotel. And it had two different entrances. They had one from the back side of the hotel. It really wasn't attached to the it was in the hotel, but didn't have hotel access anymore.
Same building, though.
Right, same building.
So the question would be, how many people died in the hotel and those spirits stayed in the bar? I mean,
tons. Exactly.
Well,
See, that's the whole situation of where it's at. You have the bucket of bloods that people, and there's been people killed in bucket of blood bars,
right?
And things happening to them. Sometimes fights can break out in a real calm bar because of not only the alcohol, it is like someone takes them over, and they just are a totally different beast,
Well, historically,
alcohol
there's
can do a lot of things to you, but I think sometimes it's affected by something else. It's like my theory on half the people in insane asylums are actually possessed because, if you ever want to, when you go to insane asylums there, and you go to the closed ones and start ghost hunting around them, oh my God, stuff that you get involved in there is just insane.
The first time I ever went to one, it was a field trip, and it was like still, it still had people in it, and this was before before modern medicine. It was the old Thorazine, and people they lived there. They didn't, like nowadays, you're in there for like 3 or 4, 5, 6 days maybe, and then you're discharged. But
right.
The first one that I went to, I was like I think it was like my freshman year in college, and we went on a field trip, and oh my gosh, it was insane. There were metal doors and people without clothes on, and
Yeah.
It was
bedlam. You just described
chaos. It was.
Yeah, just chaos.
I gotta say, I think I have a very different perspective on mental institutions. My aunts and my mother worked in a institution for, so my aunts worked there until they retired out of it, so 30 plus years. My mom worked there over 20 years, and we grew up going there and doing things with different people and celebrating birthdays and all kinds of different stuff. We were there at least maybe once a week, if not at least once a month. Mm-hmm. I was over there, and you did see some different stuff, definitely. And you saw some very interesting things, and you saw things that there is no way to explain how or what happened there. But I think I've always looked at it as people are people, and certain people have certain issues that they have that they need to work through and move on with, or some of them never will. Mm-hmm. But
so was this a residential? This wasn't acute care. This was a residential facility.
Yes, this was a long term. These
yeah.
They would be there from the time that they were born to the time that they died. Some of them would come in at different times in life, and they would stay there. Yeah. So I don't know. Everybody talks to me about how scared they were going into this, or how weird people were, or how this different thing acted, or anything like that. And I've never really seen that, but I think that's just, it became normal for me.
Well, I'm older than you are, honey. Things have gotten a lot better.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I'm old, and I remember, this is funny. I mean, everybody's heard of Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, but back a long time ago, it closed in the 90s, I think, 1990, but it was open forever. And in West Virginia, you would go there to have your proms, and they would give tours, like high schools, and you have to go through it, and the people would reach through the bars at you.
Yes.
That year they do everything crazy, and of course they were doing lobotomies like a million times a day there.
Yeah.
And it was just a terrifying place to go visit. I've never understood why they would send you to there as on a field trip for a happy day. You know.
Do your homework or you'll end up here.
Right, exactly. Or the people that was, and they had proms there and everything else, and it's crazy.
That's crazy.
It was the.
So is that still? I don't know anything about that. Is that a place where people go to do tours now, or like?
Yeah, it's been on several TV shows.
Oh,
It's probably the massivest building. The building is an old stone building. It was built by the same guy who did the Kremlin. After he built it first, and then after they built the Kremlin, they blinded him. But the facility is on an island. If you didn't like your wife way back when in the early 1800s, or the late 1800s, or the early 1900s, you just take her there in a cart and drop her off, and just say she was insane, and they were there.
Female hysteria.
Right, exactly. And so it was pretty intense. The whole area had its own, it was all self-service. It had its own coal mine, had its own farm, had its own everything. It's surrounded by a small creek. Now, they had a tuberculosis wing. I don't think that they've ever opened up yet. I think it's the last one that they've opened up. They had a medical facility they opened up. They had an area for criminally insane, and then they had the main thing, and it is just a massive building. If you ever get a chance, look at it, and it goes, it is, if you're investigating, you need a week to investigate it, because it's just that crazy, and extremely haunted, and extremely crazy stuff goes on there. That's all I can tell you.
And that's the thing, you look at the state institutions or the federal institutions. How do you they're older than dirt? The buildings are. How do you know if the people that are stuck in these institutions they actually belong there, or if they were misdiagnosed and it was a paranormal activity? That would be the question, because back in the 1900s, and I understand times have improved, times have changed. We've learned a lot more about the psychiatric illnesses, but when you're looking at the paranormal aspect, how many of those people are just pissed off spirits because they shouldn't have been there to begin with?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I would think the motivation, though, it's like, okay, they weren't supposed to be there to start with.
Right.
Why would they linger? Do they not know that?
Well, sometimes they're just stuck there.
Well, not only that, but there's something called institutionalization.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like Stockholm Syndrome, honestly.
The problem is, some of these places, there's still going to be people that are going to have the same situations when they pass now. Mm-hmm. Look at the lady that's been hit over 150 times in 4 days that her caregiver just got caught.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that not traumatic enough to make her stuck? Things have changed. People haven't.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No, people
just
have
because
not changed.
just because, yes, when you guys were younger, we didn't know as much about psychiatric treatment and everything. We still know enough about human nature to know people fucking suck. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Humanity is a nasty
You've got people that shouldn't be in the medical profession or the psych profession because they're only there for the torture aspect and causing pain to patients.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly. And that's one of the things that I think there are people there that were children actually born in that facility,
right?
That didn't have mom got pregnant and they were born there and they stayed there. They didn't go anywhere. That was their home. And then you dealt with all the crazy people roaming around. And a lot of people that were probably not there also met the fate of being murdered or extremely tortured by the patients themselves.
Well, and the other thing that people need to understand about places like this is not all of them were torture chambers. There are some of them that are really, really nice facilities,
Right.
and they are
Nowadays,
bad
yeah.
places.
Nowadays, there's some really great ones.
Yeah.
Back then, I don't think there was one because they did so many different things, shock therapy, everything else. And then they were doing lobotomies. It was like,
Ice
okay,
pick
you're out of
lobotomies,
control.
yeah.
You get mad one day, throw something around, and the next thing you know, they've got you rolling down the street corner, driving a pick up your nose and pipping your brain to mix it up so that you're docile, and then you're just sitting there as basically as a vegetable, just kind of way.
Well, the guy that invented the ice
that's a
pick
shame.
lobotomy, actually, he had several. I think the problem with it is it became a cure-all when it really shouldn't have been. But there were some people that the lobotomy actually helped.
True.
He went in through he's the one that went in through the top of the orbit, pull the eyelid up and go up. But there were some that actually benefited from it. But then it just, like I said, it just became overused. Anybody that, if you pissed off Nurse Ratchet, you ended up getting an ice pick jammed in your
Well, kind of like in a totally lesser way, but antibiotics today. They used to be used for very specific reasons, and now they're given pretty much any time you have a cold or anything to make sure that they're killing this out.
Same crap.
Yeah, it's the same thing, different age.
And back then, and still today, lithium was a fix-all.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly.
It made everybody sick if you're taking it.
Right, and you became addicted to it. And same thing with Haldol, Thorazine, all those psychedelic or psychic drugs that were used.
Psychotropic.
Yeah.
Yeah, psychotropic. Good idea. That's the word I was looking for.
So Barry, what's your?
I've got another question. One more question about,
Okay.
and it has to do with the. So I went to on a field trip. I don't know why people do this, but to the North Idaho State Hospital, which is in, I can't think
North
of
Idaho.
where it is, but they have it like there were all these unmarked graves in the graveyard. I mean, it's a current institution now, and it's gorgeous. It's all like rebuilt, and it's very modern and very nice and well run. But it's been there for a really long time. And we went to the cemetery there, and there were people. They didn't even mark their graves. They didn't know what it was. It was just sad. And is that something that, would that be a haunted place?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We have Northern State here that's been closed for 20 years, if not longer, more like 50 years. And all the grave sites, almost all of them are numbered. There is no nameplate. There's a nameplate on one grave, and that was the founder of Northern State, I think.
Well, for some of them, you got to realize too that you have to know a name in order to mark a name.
Right.
In a lot of these places, there were a lot of John Does and Jane Does that nobody knew who they were.
Are going to be restless until they actually get.
To be fair, I don't honestly believe there's a cemetery in the world that isn't haunted.
Oh no! You're absolutely right.
I agree.
But if you died in a mental facility, and they just called you Jane Doe, whatever the hell, and give you a number on a gravesite, you're not getting the respect or the recognition.
Izzy says there's a list with the names. It's not on the graves for privacy reasons.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's true.
Right.
And the respect part, that is the respect part right there.
Giving them final rights is not having to live with the stereotype. I guess for some of them, yes.
But that's still going to make some of them a little pissed off and hang
Oh, for
around.
sure.
Well, they were
For
kept
sure.
away from their family. They were kept away from everything. So they were their resting spot. Their family didn't even claim them. So I'm sure
No.
they have some issues.
Well, they were used as toxic waste dumps for unwanted family members, unwanted children,
Exactly.
unwanted
Right.
wives. Barry, you've seen the one that's right on the road outside of Hopkinsville, haven't you?
Oh, good God! It's
Does that not look like that place? Just gives me a shiver every time I used to drive by it.
I have been in that facility, and when that thing becomes when it closes down and it becomes a haunted place, that's one place that I will never go to, because let me tell you something.
You can feel it from the
dealing with it
road.
now, you won't believe the stories that the people have told me that go on in that building.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, it is one of those places, and it's an old one. I mean, it goes back to the early 1900s, and it's a beautiful, beautiful building. So these buildings are just beautiful, but it's still used to this day. And gosh, it is.
It looks like the
skin
stereotypical.
just crawls on you when you drive by it. Look at it. It's like, oh my God.
I mean, I knew what it was before I drove by it. The first time I went by it is my parents. We were heading up to their camper up in not Dreyfinsville, but in that area. But anyway, it was. We drove up on the way up the land between. Anyway,
LBL.
Aurora, maybe it was called. Anyhow, I knew what it was. I said that looks like a mental institution. Dad said that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. It. There's no mistaking it. I mean, oh gosh.
All right, Kayla, what's your first question today?
Yep.
My first question has to do with cryptids, actually. So, we were talking about different areas and different cryptids a little while before the show.
Right.
And it seems like every area in the U.S. and all of the other countries, in most of the lakes and in most of the streams and different things like that, they have different types of cryptids for all of them. And it's based on region and all this. What?
Stream?
There's stream cryptids. Yes, there are.
Mm-hmm.
Those are
What
called
Nessie?
fake.
What Loch Ness monster is sitting in a stream, just like you'll never find me?
No, we had one in southwestern Michigan that locals called the Grunt Moo, but it was sort of a Bigfoot Grunt Moo. That just was the local. But no, there was several, fairly. One of my dad's best friends actually got a glimpse of it. It was a Bigfoot-like creature.
So it was a Bigfoot taking a bath.
Well, it stayed around the Campers Hill, Dwajek Creek area.
Okay.
It was sort of a. Every time you went camping out there, it's like, are you going to have an encounter or not? But it was fairly well known in the area.
So I guess my question for this is, do you think these are all just different types of undiscovered cryptids? Do you think that there's some form of a spirit connection, an ET connection? Or what do you think causes different people to see all of these different things, especially in water?
So with the streams, it says there are water sprites and other forms of fae and small water-dwelling creatures that live in and around streams, creeks, and rivers. Yeah. Most of your bigger cryptids do live in the large bodies of water.
Like locks and bays.
Right.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think... So I do think you're going to have your regional lore. Mm-hmm. But when you really look at the description of them, they do fit a broader cryptid category. I'm still curious, like we talked over the 24-hour marathon, if Loch Ness isn't really a water dragon. Mm-hmm. That is
true.
And Joe says there's a new cryptid in California. It's called the smoke monster.
Wow, with the pictures he sent me,
huh?
With the pictures he sent me, it almost looks like something paranormal. It doesn't
Oh,
Really
the
look.
the flitty thing.
No, just
that
the
thing
huge
shows
cloud
that
of
I
smoke.
can't even-
Oh,
It's amazing.
he
how
sent so
it
many
is-
pictures. Joe, you sent too many pictures. I love them all. Don't get me wrong, but yeah.
Hey man,
So-
I love him too. I mean,
So no, his new the new one he's in. I think I saw a smoke one too, but that one looks baddish. That's not even a word, but
Baddish.
like a bat, but it's definitely not a bat. And it's white and
No.
it changes shape.
Yeah,
What that is, I have no
morphs.
I have no idea. Huh?
Papabala.
That thing morphed, and it's I don't know what it is, but it's something. And,
No. And moths don't morph. I mean, I'm
this
sitting
thing-
here
this
going
thing
over.
morphs its shape, and I don't know what it was, but it kind of made me think because I'm working this case here in Kentucky up by Mammoth Cave, and there's a new something that's going on up here that I'm currently working on, and hope to find out what it is. It likes to walk on roofs, but it is like invisible, and it's definitely a real thing, and very, very strange. So we're still working on it.
As far as I do think a lot of the cryptids that are described fall into a Bigfoot or Sasquatch category.
So it's just different people's descriptions of what they thought they saw then, that maybe it's the same creature, it's just in a different area, so it might have different kinds of mud
They call
on
it
it
by
or
the
something.
name of the body of water oftentimes, like
Champy, Dewey Lake Monster.
Dewey Lake Monster.
Nessie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But when you look at the details of the sighting, it sounds like a Bigfoot, or it sounds like a Mothman, or it sounds like a Dogman. So
Right.
are they all different individual creatures? They could be. But you look at the lore, you look at the description, they sound like a specific, one that we know of. So
Yeah.
In the
Well, there's
classification.
different types of.
right.
Well, I mean, there'd
breeds,
have to
there's
be.
different species within a species.
Well, I mean,
you
like
know.
if you look at like dogs or birds or whatever, they're
Right.
they're all dogs, they're all birds, but there's like 9 million different types of this or that. So I can
Yeah.
see where it would evolve something a little bit different based on the region that it's in, too.
It's like when I grew up in West Virginia. West Virginia probably has some of the. It's a weird state. I mean, it has massive paranormal, and the folklore back there. They had the Bunny Man, which was like a slank. Which is a fae type thing that appears in long fingers and.
Did you say Bunny
ears,
Man?
The whole 9 yards. Bunny Man. Yeah, they had a Bunny Man creature there.
Oh, they saw the Easter Bunny.
Well, I
Yeah,
saw
exactly. They had,
Up
corpse
around.
walkers. They had so many. The Grinning Man was there. There was common sprites seen all over the place. There was a lot of Mothman. You had like Bigfoot. You've got the Grafton Monster, which was more human like, and then you had the Yahoo, and then you had the Applejack, which is like a smaller Bigfoot like creature. So and then
Well, the
fish
Yahoo,
rods.
that was the one that Daniel Boone encountered. And he
Oh,
was a
they're
big
nasty.
fan of Jonathan Swift, and he saw this hairy ape-like creature. And, of course, the hairy ape-like creatures in Gulliver's Travels were called Yahoos. So
Right.
in his, when he came back and made his report, that's what he named it.
Right.
Yeah, well, the funny thing about it is they, if you've ever been in the woods and hear a Yahoo, they actually scream Yahoo, and that is, I think, partially why it is. But man, they are a nasty Bigfoot. They have a temperament from all get out. They don't want you in their area. They're the ones that will throw trees at you. I mean big
I wouldn't
trees.
want a talking monkey around my area either. I mean,
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that, but they've had all kinds of, there's all kinds of lore, and everywhere that you have this folklore, there are truths to folklore,
Right.
in some ways. And there's different styles, It's like I always think that the West Coast Bigfoot is not as aggressive as the central area of the country where we live in West Virginia and the Kentucky area. They are more of a predator. They hunt. They're meat eaters, and I think that the Bigfoot out there is kind of like berry pickers and will be a little bit more.
The one that I have
Grabbed a
in
goat
the
out of your
backyard.
yard. Didn't something grab a chicken out of your
Yeah,
yard?
we had the one that ran through the blackberries and grabbed my rooster and ran back into the blackberry. I think they're omnivore, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well,
they'll eat berries, they'll eat plants, but they'll also eat meat.
Mm-hmm.
And so with this, how many species do you think there are that we don't even know what are yet? There's parts of this planet that
Millions.
humans have never explored.
Oh,
Well, okay, it depends on what you include in that. Like, if you include insects and everything, millions.
Oh,
Right.
God, yeah.
But no, I'm talking I'm talking cryptids. There's probably cryptids that we don't even know about yet.
I'd
Oh,
say
most
then you're in the
likely.
thousands, though.
Huh?
Yeah.
Then you're in the thousands.
Right.
But yeah.
Still, so when you-
Well, if you think about it, there's specific tribes of people we've still
yeah,
found
absolutely.
that we didn't realize there were any people that could live in this environment or on this island
Right.
or in this jungle, and we're like, hey, there's a whole tribe of people there that we never
they're going,
noticed.
We didn't find them. We just found their arrows.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
Their
there's,
arrows found us.
like there's an island that there's and I can't remember what island it is, but where there has been a tribe living for as long as they can remember living there, and
probably
they
since
have
the beginning.
no interaction with the outside world. And every time that anybody has ever tried to go down there or sent surveillance, they would knock it out of the sky, or they would throw
Right.
things or shoot arrows at it, and nobody knows anything about
Yeah. To them, it's a
They
demon.
killed that Christian kid
Huh?
They killed that Christian kid last year.
Yeah, because they
He
sent a
tried to-
missionary.
They
there.
sent a missionary in, a young one,
Right.
and
Tender.
like 19 arrows in his body. They're a good shot too.
Veal. That was veal.
Although with the development of drones, they kind of have to be a good shot.
Yep. Absolutely. And with that, we will go ahead and go to our first break. Roundtable always flies. And when we come back, we will carry on. And Barry, you will be up with your first question.
All right.
All right, so stay
Are
tuned.
listening to
Right.
S4 on Spreaker.com.
I see you break. You're going down.
host, Eric Cooper.
And welcome back to S4 as we are doing our September Roundtable tonight. Cole, tell us about the art contest real quick. We have one more, we have what, 31, about 24, 25 more days to get your art submitted.
All right. So we here at S4 know that sometimes when dealing with the paranormal, what we experience cannot be properly put into words. So we are asking you, the public, to share with us your best paranormal artwork. Between August 1st and September 30th, we will be accepting your 2D artwork, which we will then be featuring on Facebook, Twitter, and on our web page during the month of October. The hosts of S4 will then pick one to win an S4 swag bag valued at $75. All 2D mediums accepted must be 18 to enter. All artwork must be PG. No nudity, please. Entries should be submitted to s4radiowinner@gmail.com. That's s4radiowinner@gmail.com.
And also with that, so if there's a topic that you, our listeners, want to hear us talk about and research for you, and maybe even pull a guest on that area onto the show to talk about, send an email to the same email address, and we will see what we can do about getting a guest on that topic. Because we have 11 billion topics to discuss, but we like researching the stuff you want to hear about. So with that, Barry, what's your first question tonight?
My first question is going to be about famous UFO cases. I'd like to know, the panel here, which is your famous, there's been so many real good UFO cases out there. Roswell's always comes up. Everybody wants to talk about Roswell.
Yeah,
That's okay if you mention
overdone.
it. But there's been so many of them, and I'd like to know which one's the one of your favorite and why it is.
Betty and Barney Hill. It's got to be one of my favorite cases. And I think it is because I see more validity in that than a lot of the other cases. There was a lot of facts that added up in that one. And they, being an interracial couple in that time, they didn't really want to necessarily bring that much attention to themselves.
Nope.
But if they knew something was going on and they needed to get the word out there, and they went for it. They said, hey, this is what happened. This is what we saw. This is Xena Reticuli. This is, so
And
there
they
were
had
a
no
lot of
idea what
cases.
Zeta Reticuli was until 2000. Oh, when was it?
Four?
Huh?
No,
I think it was the 90s. Wasn't it the 90s that they actually discovered Zeta Reticuli, Barry?
I'm not too sure on that one. I'd be taking a stab at it because I remember it was in the area of, like, it could have been from 94 to 2004, somewhere in that area there when it was, but I don't know for sure. So
I think it was after the Hubble Space Telescope went up.
That
Yes,
that sounds about right, too.
96.
Okay. I thought it was the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah.
So mine would be Maury Island incident.
Ooh.
And because the Maury Island incident happened just before Roswell. I mean, literally just before Roswell. And it happened here in Washington State. And, so there's a lot of discrepancy with that case. Mr. Dahl on his deathbed said it was all a fabrication and whatnot. But there were so many details that actually happened, like the Air Force plane that crashed in Oregon that actually had pieces of sludge from this incident, and it crashed.
Exactly.
Kenneth Arnold was actually involved, and this was shortly after he had his 9-disc sighting over Mount Rainier. So, there's so many details that came out that made it just as important to me as Roswell.
Yeah.
And it happened here. Mr. Dahl's dog was hit with the sludge and killed. His son was injured. There's so many incidents that happened within that one case.
Yeah.
No. So, yeah, definitely more alien incident for me.
Mm-hmm.
Mine would have to be the 2006 O'Hare.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that is
yeah.
a good one.
Yeah.
That is a
more
good
recent.
Well, and it was like I knew nothing about it until I watched the movie UFO on Netflix.
Right.
I was wrong about Zeta Reticuli, by the way.
Huh?
I think it was discovered back in the 1800s.
It wasn't called Zeta Reticuli, I don't believe, though. Was it that star map?
Discovered by Willem Jacob Leighton.
Okay.
Well, that could be.
Yeah. I think her star map was different, and we didn't know. I'm not too sure.
I think there were some stars that weren't visible before that they had identified.
Right.
And then when we got a high resolution, like the Hubble Space Telescope went to that region, it's like, holy crap, they were right. They're really
right.
are.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about you, Marco? What's your first famous UFO case?
Oh God, I think the one that has always intrigued me because of how many eyewitnesses there was, it'd be a toss-up between the Hudson Valley flap or the Kecksburg.
Mm-hmm.
Kecksburg just was really, I mean, that whole thing, I'm not sure if we weren't dealing with maybe our own technology that, some kind of advanced something like that. But as far as one that was so seen by so many eyewitnesses, I've always been intrigued by the Hudson Valley flap.
And
people were stopping on the highway. It's like, holy, there's
for years, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
And so, you just sparked my memory with that. I would have to say the Brooklyn Bridge incident. Because of the fact that a UN ambassador witnessed it at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he actually watched the woman levitate out of her apartment, 30-something story apartment, into a hovering craft and disappear. And that was witnessed by a UN ambassador. What more of a high-profile witness can you get?
Well, John Lennon had a UFO sighting.
Right.
From his penthouse. And he was very excited about it.
Oh,
I think that's back when he was shacking up with May Pang. And it's like, May, go out here and look at this.
You got one, Francie?
What's that harbor up in Nova Scotia where they... Even
Shag
Navy
Harbor.
died.
Oh, Shag Harbor.
Shag
Harbor. That is probably on my list of top 5. Yeah, that one is
on my top 5 too. It would be
that one was so well documented. You had the Navy involved. You had eyewitnesses, civilian eyewitnesses, and so much of the sighting correlates.
Yeah.
Well, there's the White House flyover too.
We talk about that one all the time. Yeah. That's why I figured I'd throw Maury Island in. And Izzy did a lot of background research on Maury Island, which is why she commented that that's one of her favorites. It's got a lot of detail to it. Do you have a famous UFO sighting that you want to talk about, Francie?
No.
No.
What about you, Arnold?
Well, I'm going to give you my top 5 because some of them most of them are in Kentucky.
You should, you should have that National Guard pilot.
Yeah, the Mantell,
the Mustang pilot,
just fantastic.
Yeah.
Kelly, Kentucky, the Goblins.
Hopkinsville.
It's dumb.
Yeah. Talk about Geraldine Sutton, and then Hopkinsville area. You can't leave
Love
that
to get her on.
It's just a crazy one. The Stanford case, abduction case. Great abduction story. And then there's some new ones that nobody knows about that I've been working on that I just love. But Shag Harbor is up there is on my top 5 list. But the one that I grew up with from West Virginia, the Flatwood Monster. I
forgot about that one.
And that one always sticks in my crawl for some reason, and all the weirdness that has happened in West Virginia, and from being from that area, I try to follow it quite a lot. But that case
didn't Ron
was
Turn happen in West
just
Virginia?
Amazing case. Happened in 1952, and scared these people to death, and just an insane case. The Kecklenburg case is also great too. In fact, I had an interview with a guy just recently that said he saw it a few miles away coming down. He lived in Pennsylvania at the time, and mentioned it. He thought it was the Kecklenburg bell that he saw.
Wait, what about the Phoenix lights? Is that on your top 5?
No, I'm not too, a lot of people have seen the Phoenix lights and everything else, and Stevensville is also is a great case. Okay. Modern day cases that are out there. There are so many, great cases. The Lantham case in Texas is great. But
what's funny to me is people still want disclosure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But you look at all the historical, well-documented cases. You don't need disclosure.
It's been disclosed.
Right. Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, it has. I mean,
that kind of ties into my first question.
I mean, it's not the thing about I want to believe. They're real and they're there, and face it, it's reality, folks.
I want to believe more.
Yeah, exactly. Learn to know what they are. There's so many different. I'll get into I was going to get into my other question, but I won't do that. But I might change my question up as we go through.
Wait your turn. Yeah. Marco.
Thank you all.
Okay, my first question sort of ties into what we're discussing in that what constitutes proof? I mean, what I'm getting at is since the advent of Photoshop.
Huh? Right.
You can make these incredibly believable. I mean, what now constitutes
that's
proof?
I think it's harder to get proof today.
A simulation.
Excuse me?
Proof.
Full assimilation into the community.
Right.
Not just one. We need an entire group of them to come here and interact.
Right.
Fully saying, like them saying, we are here, this is what we are, test us.
You know what? That's not going to happen.
But I mean, not just with UFOs.
But you know what? That is disclosure. Because until that happens,
absolutely,
everything else means crap.
Well, I mean, I'm not just talking about UFOs. I get what you're saying, and I agree, because it's going to take... humans as a whole are very good at denial.
So in 2 weeks,
but I mean, say I go to Arnold's house, do the investigation. Okay. I get footage, I get readings. Is that proof?
I think so.
Yeah.
But you and I, present company included, right. We're believers already for the most part.
But no, here's the thing. You are a documented scientist. You have a degree in science. You know how to do scientific theory correctly. You take your instruments and you can, get the evidence beyond a shadow of a doubt with documentation and instrumentation. What more do you need? In 2 weeks, for all we know, we might have Bigfoot hair.
Yep.
Bigfoot prints. Hell, we might even have Bigfoot. Who the hell knows?
I'm going to go up to the true 357 Magnum hollow points for my rifle, not the 38
we
special.
ain't going to kill Bigfoot. We're going to drink some Folgers with him.
I just, it's just though... As far as we can release this and say this is our findings,
right?
It's not going to be probably there's going to be people that no matter what you
There's
do,
going to be debunkers everywhere you go.
there's like somebody. I think if you had 1,000 eyewitnesses live streaming, somebody would say, "Well, you faked it in the street." It seems like no matter what you produce, what you show, it's never good enough.
Oh, no.
It used to be, all the Bigfoot pictures are too shaky. Well, then you get with image stabilizer lenses, people are getting better pictures. And now, it's a guy in a monkey suit. So there's always some kind of BS excuse that the disbelievers are going to throw. What would it take to be, honest to God, proof? I know my own answer, but I mean, what do you...
So, honest to God, truth to me is, current technology can be manipulated.
Yes.
It's too easy to Photoshop. You go back to the old 35mm camera with hard film. Look at the McMinnville, Oregon UFO case. Look at that photo. That's not Photoshop. There's no way you can Photoshop. I mean, okay, you could take it today.
No, there's lots of ways to Photoshop.
Yeah.
Well, sure you could. But you take the original McMinnville picture.
Yeah, if you take the actual negative...
That wasn't fabricated. I mean, you want a good UFO picture, look at that one.
I think if you take, like, the SD card out of the digital camera, software exists in order that you can tell if something's been added to a frame.
But that's what's sad. Today there's actually apps. Apps made just to... Hey, look, kids, you can fake a ghost.
Right.
And it's called...
They were
fake a
doing
ghost.
that 2 days... But they were faking ghosts 2 days after the damn camera was invented. It's called double exposure.
Right.
You did the first half of your exposure with the model that you wanted to be fully developed, fully exposed. Then you got the person wearing the diaphanous sheet for the second half of the exposure. Of course, they're not fully exposed, so you kind of see through them, and they're wispy. With film camera, they figured out how to fake that,
that's why
the day after it was invented, probably.
Yeah, I think that the only way that the average everyday human being is going to believe that this actually exists
when something stands in front of
when
them.
you have it right in front of you. When you can smell it, you can see it, you can touch it, you can look at it enough to go, holy crap, that's what that is.
But how many of those same people are going to go, oh, it's a demon, oh!
But the moment it disappears, their mind is automatically going to try and explain it, and it will use some of the dumbest crap to explain it.
Well, it's like my disembodied voice. As much as I believe it happened, by the same token, I can't rule out that I was in a hypnagogic. I'm pretty sure I was wide. I'm 99.99999% sure I was wide awake because I really had to pee, and I just didn't really want to trudge down the hall.
Right.
But the bad thing about memory like that is, okay, did I actually hear this, or like through my ears, or was it projected into my brain?
Right. Well, and see, nobody's gonna believe it until I think that nobody believed it that lived over here back in the day. Nobody believed elephants existed. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
There's this crazy creature that's this big and this tall, and it has a trunk
look at
for a
the
nose.
platypus.
Well, they knew.
Stuff like
Well,
that.
the mountain gorilla is a better example. People knew what elephants were because Alexander, not Alexander, the one that tried Hannibal used elephants trying to attack Rome. It didn't work well for him. But I mean, like the mountain gorilla was considered a cryptid until somebody finally bagged one, brought it in, took it to the Museum of London, and said, "Yeah, tell me now."
So until we can accept these as actual living beings, and until we can learn to either coexist with them, or we have them in a museum somewhere, or we have them
That's what
in
I'm
the
afraid
zoo
of.
somewhere, then
when it comes to
we're not going to
cryptid,
believe it.
when it comes to a cryptid, most scientists are not going to accept any kind of eyewitness, no picture, no amount of
You could have so much
recording.
evidence it's ridiculous, but
But
they
without-
won't believe it until they have one.
without a body.
Mm-hmm.
It's not until we actually have a specimen, a reference specimen, on the exam table.
At the same point, do we really want that? Because what did they do to the mountain gorilla after we realized what they were? They're in zoos. They're locked up.
Where was S4 supposed to be today?
I know, that's what...
What?
Where was S4 supposed to be today? The International Bigfoot Symposium.
Yep.
That was this weekend.
Yeah.
That's the sad thing. Unless we get...
No, it got canceled.
Unless we get a cooperative
But yeah,
specimen.
this was the weekend that we were supposed to be at the International Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would take that rare... You're going to have a cooperative specimen and ethically treat it like it's got human rights.
We're never going to do that.
Good luck.
That's what I'm afraid. Once it got in the lab, I mean, it would be...
But that's the problem. If they know our history, there is no such thing as a willing specimen.
I'm sure that's part of it. They saw how we treated...
everything.
When the white man comes in, if you're darker than a brown paper bag, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I hope that we never actually do have it to where every single person in the world can go to a zoo and look at a Bigfoot because they don't belong there.
No.
Just like, I'm sorry, but the mountain gorillas don't belong there. None of them belong there.
Nope.
If you had the opportunity to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Bigfoot existed, you could do it. Whether it's you found the body or whatever.
That's just going to be a selfie.
Would you do it? Would you do it?
Me personally, no.
I would not either. I would not want to be the person that introduced modern society to
I would not want to be the person that genocided a whole bunch of things.
I would honestly figure out as much as I could about the area they actually inhabit, and then find some way to make sure no one goes there.
Yeah.
Protect them. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, doesn't Washington State or some county here in Washington State actually have a protected...
Yes, it is illegal.
It's Skamania County. It's illegal to kill a Bigfoot.
Okay. No. It's illegal to hunt them.
Yeah.
If they find out, like if a Fish and Game officer comes up and you tell them you are looking for Bigfoot, if you have a gun in the vehicle,
they can seize it.
They will seize it. You will be fined.
Good.
But if you found, like, say you do a gifting site and somehow you eventually...
Like there was an injured Bigfoot there or something?
Or you find the body.
Uh-huh.
Would you leave the body there?
No.
Would you take samples? What would you do? I mean, you're going to rewrite the history books. You're going to take a cryptid species and bring it into the limelight. It's going to now be a verified... Just like the mountain gorilla, just like the platypus, it is now a scientific fact that this creature exists.
So,
do you take that opportunity?
Listen, I want to bring that question to the panel. What would you guys do if you had a Bigfoot in front of you? Would you guys take samples?
No. I'd show them the wonders of coffee.
Huh?
No, I'm saying like maybe... Are you saying alive or are you saying like a dead specimen?
If you had a body.
If I had a body. I think I would collect my specimens as respectfully as I could, but it would only be for my own...
For your own, yeah.
You know, it'd be like, this is what I found. I'd have a reference specimen, and then my continuing research, I would have a reference specimen to refer to. But as far as...
I'd bury him.
I think I would too.
No?
Yeah. No, I'd surround them by flowers.
Okay, so some other person that doesn't have your same...
To the point where you can't actually see him.
Okay.
His own kind would know where he is.
Got it. Izzy says she'd leave it.
I would have to do something to kind of hide him, but not bury him, because that's not my right.
They apparently have some kind of funerary rites because we never do find the body.
Exactly, and that's why I don't think I have the right to do that for him.
Maybe
I'm not his kin.
Right.
I would try to find his kin.
That would be a desecration then.
Yeah.
Either that or take him up to a area where where you know that there's been a lot of sightings.
Can you lift 500 pounds?
Yeah, how the hell are you going to lift that?
Well,
it is dead weight.
Well,
I got a dolly. I ain't worried about it.
Oh, God.
No, I just don't know. The ethical thing. On the one hand, it's like, holy crap, I just became a millionaire. On the other hand, it's like, I do not want to be responsible for
if that's the way to become a millionaire, I don't want the money.
I don't either.
No.
I don't think I would do it. My scientific curiosity would overrule, just walking away. I would have to get some hair, some tissue, some blood. But if I could do it in a way...
Could you sign up for 23andMe?
But again, that's an ethical thing. You're talking straight up taking blood. You're taking blood from a dead thing. What right do you have? That's the thing. Hair, I get. Yeah, as long as it's not like, it depends on how the situation is. But if it's connected to the body, I don't believe we have the right to take it. You don't have permission.
Yeah, that would be almost like desecrating a body or desecrating a grave.
Well, the only reason I think of that is because I think of the times that I've had to draw heart bloods out of really nasty situations. Because you have to do toxicology. We had up in the North Carolina mountains where I lived, we would get a couple times a year, we would get somebody who came up to the mountains in the fall or spring, when it was pretty, and they would commit suicide or die of some, that's what we were trying to determine. And I would have to draw the heart bloods out for toxicology.
But we as humans understand that is going to happen if we die.
Yeah.
Okay. I see your point. I'm just not,
This creature has been trying to hide for years.
Yeah.
Where's that data you putting in going to go?
Yeah, because if anybody got a hold of the fact that you even had it, they would know what area it would be, and then it would be...
I would make sure that I could put it on a computer that didn't have Wi-Fi, but then again, you got to wonder if it'd get... I don't know. It would just be... I guess I would just get a little hair off of it, try and get some follicle and some hair, and leave the rest alone.
Unless you're honestly running that computer from a Faraday cage and never leaving that Faraday cage with the computer.
Anybody can find anything.
If that computer has
even who doesn't have a Wi-Fi connection?
Anybody, anywhere. Especially with all the new satellite systems going up and everything else.
What would you do, Arnold?
I'd leave it. I wouldn't. I think Bigfoot's been out there for a reason and not been found, or we haven't found bodies or bones or stuff like that. I would leave it and just think I was thankful to at least see something like that.
Right.
Because like you guys have been saying, to move it, who's going to pick it up? Who's going to be able to pick it up and move it? What if you start doing samples and their family members are still out there, right there?
Mm-hmm. I would think.
I can. It's just, I would have to. I guess I would just have to take my opinion that I'm not going to divulge that this creature really. I'm not going to certify that the creature exists, and I just have to. It would kill. I mean, it would kill me. But I think Cole's right. The right thing to do is just
hide it from you and leave it.
Yeah, hide it. Like.
What about you, Barry?
Barry's muted.
Earth calling Barry.
He's here.
But I am a field investigator. I'm a boots on the ground investigator. I do this for a reason. I want to prove that these things exist. That's why we do what we do. I want to know what's on the other side of the veil. I want to know what we're doing. And it's up to the investigator that is out there beating the bushes, kicking the dirt, smelling the crap, doing all the things that we do to be able to prove this, to be able to let people know that, yes, these things do exist. That's why we do it. I'm not doing it for fun. I'm doing it to be able to tell people that, look, these are real. Their own people set up their own reality and everything else, and it's up to the investigator to be able to do a good, clean investigation. And you have to be prepared to be able to do a good, clean investigation. There are only a few people that we consider to be what I consider to be good boots on the ground, because they do carry a DNA kit, they carry a forensic kit, they do all this stuff. When you make a to-go bag, you are going out to do that. If I came up to a Bigfoot, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to put my gloves on, I'm going to put my booties on, I'm going to put my other things on so that I am not contaminating the site. I am going to get a clean sample of hair. I will take blood. I'll take whatever I need to do. And then we will write a chain of custody together so that we know where that sample went to, everything else, so that it proves the fact. Proving it doesn't mean anything else.
That's why we need our own lab.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you are the scientist, so you have a lab if you send it to Markham, So you have.
Barry, I agree with what you're saying to the point of how you do it, but there's an ethical dilemma here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Look what happens.
Well, if you've ever been in a site, and I have, there are odd burial sites in certain areas of this country that some people have seen, and we leave those alone, just like Indian spots, everything else. If you are a nomad, and look at what we do when we are in Russia and we're blowing water and we're finding mammoth stuff, and I don't believe that we want to recreate it and take the DNA and try to bring it back to life, but there's a certain thing that we do. I mean, look at all our museums today. There are pieces of things that roam this earth because there's a reason for it. We look at things in Egypt. We find all these different things. We are preserving a past, and we're also opening other things up, as far as the rituals and how they are buried and how they are done, everything else, just like an alien. I mean, if I saw an alien body at a crash site, I'm afraid that I'm gonna grab an arm and I'm gonna run with it. I'm sorry.
Well, I can see that.
Talking about, I mean, it's all about everything. It's the ghost. It's everything. It's how an investigator does his work. It's how you interview. It's how you do everything. And if you dot your I's and cross your T's, and you make all the evidence admissible, like in a court of law, so you follow your case like that, then what do you have? You have a solid case. Whether people believe it, whether they take your evidence, no matter what, you have presented the best case scenario that you ever can. And that's what you should do on every case. So if you do find a body, if you do find a crash, if you do find something like that, and even when you go find evidence of a burn mark where there's been a sighting or anything like that, you've got to take samples outside of the area that are away from it. You've got to take samples from inside of it. There are certain ways to do it, and that is, that's the thing that true investigators do.
I don't think I'm articulating.
Okay, so I have a question for you.
But I'm saying you now have proven that Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it, is real. That is going to open up a Pandora's box. You're going to get morons out there. It's like once it's proven to exist, once it's documented, you're going to have the asshole that's got to go out there and have one stuffed for his game room.
Yep.
I mean, I think
that's my issue.
And are you responsible?
Look what happens. It's that thing where when a more advanced culture encounters a less advanced culture, the less advanced culture, they either succumb to disease, their culture gets destroyed. It never ends well for the lesser. And if you prove that Bigfoot exists, the ethical dilemma here is, yes, you've proven that this cryptid is no longer a cryptid, but you're also introducing it to the world, and you know what's going to, people can't let well enough alone. They can't just say, oh, Bigfoot's real, cool, cross that one off the cryptid list. Now you're going to have, every zoo's going to want one, every anthropologist is going to want one, every university is going to have one for their collect. We don't think there's that many of these things to start with.
Right.
It would be so easy to create an unintentional genocide by revealing them to the world at large.
Izzy just said it perfectly. As soon as you prove it exists, it's just a matter of time before it's extinct.
And are you responsible for that as the one who proved its existence?
Yes.
I
Absolutely.
understand what you're saying. I get what you're saying. And there's certain things. What I guess I'm talking about is evidence in itself through paranormal, through UFO investigations, through everything that you have to be this way. Now, finding a Bigfoot, and you have to understand what I feel Bigfoot is. I don't think I will ever find a Bigfoot body because I believe they're interdimensional. Mm-hmm. It's been proven to me from my investigations and everything that that's what they are.
Okay.
They are also
the perfect picture I see of Bigfoot is Predator 2. When you have the Predator body there, and all of a sudden a doorway opens up, and you've got 6 Predators that come out, pick up that body, and bring him back on the ship. And I can't remember who the actor was, but they're like, holy shit. Because they just got surrounded by a whole bunch
Glover.
of...
Danny Glover.
Yeah.
The thing they've got to have funerary rights. I mean, one of the big arguments is I heard somebody say, well, how often do you walk out in the woods and find a deer carcass or a bear carcass? All the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a skull collection from when I was in college. I had beaver skulls. I had cat. I had a regular, nice little zoological exhibit at one time of skulls and skeletons that I found tramping around out in the woods.
Right.
So that argument, that's a false argument.
Physical beings, and there are things on this planet that eat them. Or they die and they are left there, and we walk in the woods and we find them.
Right, so their funeral rites would be more like an interdimensional
right? I believe that he is. I've followed tracks, I've looked at things, and I could follow tracks for 150 yards and then look around and see nothing.
Well, I believe I'm with you. I believe that they
deer on his back. We've seen. I've seen quite a lot of things. I've seen him run on all fours when he hunts.
Do you think they're primitive, or do you think they're on a par with us, just a different evolutionary cycle?
I think they're actually above us because they speak to your mind. The ones that are there and the people that have interaction with them, they're very loving creatures, I believe. Because the people, they do have contact with people. I think that they can be standing right next to you in the woods and you'll never see them.
Wouldn't you know it?
I got to wonder how many times going up Haystack we've been. Yeah.
Right. They have an odor, yes, but I think
so
they
do
have
we.
a way to cloak. I think they're a very interesting species. How they got here, or if they've been here forever. I don't know.
Well, they go back in the Native American records and lore for as far back as the oral tradition reaches.
I've always thought of the smell of a Bigfoot being a defense mechanism. Because if you smell something like that, you're going to go, oh, God, and kind of turn around, So I've always thought of that as like part of its camouflage, part of its...
Right.
And I believe they use infrasound.
Kind of like a skunk. A skunk sprays the defense mechanism.
You turn around and you walk away because holy crap.
But the first time I heard... The first time I heard knocks, those knocks came from literally 50 to 70 feet away. And it was completely clear.
Or
it was
farther. They are. That's a warning knock. That's a thing saying, I'm hey.
To me, it wasn't. Honestly, to me, it was not. To me, he was messing with me. And we had weapons because we were deer hunting. So he wasn't scared of the weapon. I do think they can sense intent. I think he knew that I wasn't a threat.
I agree with that also.
And honestly, so the first time I ever heard knocks, prior to that, you told me Bigfoot existed. I would, okay, cool, whatever. I wasn't interested in Bigfoot. But we were walking down a trail, and we looked over this cliff. What's ironic is Finney Creek, the place we're investigating, is right below this hill that we were on, right below it. And we looked around, and we were walking back down the trail, and we heard the knocks. And I looked at my buddy, and I'm like, holy shit. You know what that was? There's nothing up here. There's no humans up here. There's one way in, one way out. That was Bigfoot knocks. I've heard of them. And that was a Bigfoot knock. We put our pack down. We walked back to where the knocks were, and sure enough, there was a log that was used. There were no tracks because it was all pine needle. So there weren't any tracks, but we knew what it was. We knew where it came from. We look over the cliff, nothing there. We're like, what the hell? Oh my God. We walked back to our packs. He did it again. Like, no way.
Now, do you think...
he's just messing with us now.
Do you think he was just messing with you, or he knew that you were up deer hunting and he wanted to be like, hey, dude, so I'm over here, so if you see something brown and fuzzy over here, don't shoot it?
No, I honestly feel like he was just messing with us going, hey, so there really is a Bigfoot. Knock, knock, knock. I'm over here. Yeah. Knock, knock, knock.
I'm going to disappear and go over here.
I'm going to disappear. You can't see me because I'm actually interdimensional.
So kind of like a teen playing a game, like, check out this
juvenile.
Because he did the same thing to Markham.
I kind of think that I think a knock is more of a thing it's a warning system that they have set up. That's why when you knock, you'll get a knock back if you're
I've had that happen too.
The way. I think it's just saying, hey, there's somebody in the woods. I also think that they can be very protective of their areas because of the fact that they do sense your intent. All right.
Yeah.
But if you're hunting deer, you're also hunting what they hunt. So
are you thinking it's more like a retreat type of thing? Like, hey guys, there's somebody too close to here. Let's retreat back to here.
Too close to
possibly.
You're going to get throwing of rocks. You're going to get the rock throwers. You're going to get that kind of stuff.
But the thing is, I think
that you get the boulders being thrown at you.
Right.
It all progresses.
Or trees.
Everything progresses as you're
But you look at Joe. Joe gets stones thrown at him. But it's being, and that's Joe's house. And he'll have, pebbles tossed at him, and they'll land right at his feet. That's not a warning. That's a, hey, let's play. I mean, so I do think there's a playful side to them. Now, if they're throwing bowlers, they're saying get the hell out of here. But
they're
I think you can
sense.
Joe's
case, he's living there. He doesn't disturb a thing.
Right.
So they have an interest in Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if Joe would start leaving garlic out or something like that, you may find that they enjoy garlic. A lot of times that I've heard that people. I don't know why they like to eat the wild garlic around here.
Because it keeps the vampires away.
Right?
No.
You're right.
Well, on a related part of this, when you find footprints, do you use the standard plaster of Paris or do you use the polymer, the alginate?
I use the dental polymer stuff. It's easier to use. It mixes well. I carry a 6-ounce bottle of water and a pack of that, and I have a shaker there to be able to do it. Unfortunately, a lot of the ones we were out Thursday, and we were over a cave bluff, which is about 100 feet down, and there was a lot of footprints. We saw toes and everything else, but there were none that were able to be cast. I took a lot of pictures of them.
So is that like a urethane resin?
Right. So it depends on what you have and how structured it is. And also the best print that I've ever seen, I didn't have my cat. I was with a bunch of people, and I said, "Oh shoot, I'm out here looking," and we found it, and it came in a rainstorm like I've never seen before. And obviously, it's like, oh, I forget that, because by the time I get back to the truck and pull my stuff, because I wasn't thinking about casting anything, or I wasn't actually really thinking about looking for Bigfoot. So, the things that you find when you're not doing anything, you're in the woods, that's the whole deal. That's the problem. And,
that also helps you build your kit for next time.
Right, exactly. That's what you want to do, and you want to have, aero forensics. There are all kinds of different things that you may want to have with you. One of the key things to have is get an L bracket piece of photographic tape that they use in an investigation that will help you measure print. So when you take a picture, you have the realization.
Something for scale. Yes, I have
exactly.
I have a Taylor's tape.
Exactly.
They're cheap. You can roll it out. Yeah.
Exactly. It makes everything more. And again, we're looking at that unmissable evidence. How do you look at it? You say, this is a large print. You can put your shoe down next to it, and you say, I got a 16-foot shoe, and this is like here.
Yeah.
But at the same
that
time,
doesn't mean that's not as good as a scale.
Right. It's the things that you carry in your to-go bag. It's the things that you carry in your case that make you a good investigator. So anything that you're doing and everything else. And yeah, you're right. I mean, it's hard to... I can put up a picture. I can send pictures to you and everything else. I don't even put them up anymore. We just posted one that someone sent us, and it was a individual that was at the hall, full body apparition, lady in white. And I mean to tell you how people said CGI, everything else. Doesn't matter how well you know me. Doesn't matter how anything. But these people will sit as an armchair investigator, think they know everything, and they will bust your rump to hell because they think it's an ego thing to them. They think that they know more than anyone else, and they're going to try to debunk your evidence, your stuff that you have.
Well, I think our blanket attitude is there's no such thing as an expert in the paranormal.
There is.
How can you be an expert in something that there's no
definition for?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There is not an expert, but you can try to be the best investigator. It's like EDI equipment. It's like the stuff that you carry with you. You want to document, and you being science-minded, you understand that if you have something and you can show a difference, it's like the MADAR units that I have in the house and some of the other stuff that I use that give a reading out when there's an anomaly. So it's sitting there in a certain way. It's reading all the stuff, and when there's an anomaly, you can see the magnetic anomaly. You can see these things. That is, again, scientific proof that there's something going on, and you can actually look at that to be able to make a determination. There's so many weird things in the paranormal. You're talking about disembodied voices that you've heard, Mark. And, I've heard 1,000 of them, and I've been with other people. And it's funny that I could be sitting with 6 people. 3 of us may hear it, and the other 3 don't. And we all hear the same thing. We hear them talk. We'll hear them scream. And there's always people with us that never hear a damn thing.
Do you think you're actually hearing it through the normal mechanism of hearing where airway, disturbance in the airwaves is causing tympanic membrane vibration, or is it bypassing that? Do you think you're maybe getting it directly in?
Yeah, that's another thing, because sometimes it's really amazing because I think we're hearing it because I pick it up on my recorder.
Okay.
But other times we'll hear it and it doesn't pick up on the recorder.
So it's for a spirit by spirit
and this
variation.
Sounds weird. I know that they can affect electronic devices. It's like the EVP I got here, Bear. You can have this. They are giving it to me as right. Excuse me. as evidence. And then the other stuff, may not be believing, but I've seen stuff on a camera disappear. I've seen malfunctions in the cameras that I can't tell you why. Walk out of a room.
Oh, like Joe's cameras.
Well, my wife and I were walking down a street in New Bern, and there's this beautiful little Victorian-looking courtyard. It's got a wrought iron gate in front of it. It's got the little chair. It's just obviously it's some place to come sit and relax. My wife took a picture of it just because it was a pretty thing, and we got looking through the camera, and holy shit, there's this little girl in Victorian, like a Victorian, night dress type of, just like the long, anyhow, Victorian dress, simple like a frock. That picture of that little girl, she disappeared off of the picture.
Yes.
We had it. You'd pass it around, people say, "Oh my God," and you didn't have to point it out. It was one of those where somebody would look at it. When I put it on the computer, she wasn't there, and she also disappeared off
the phone.
The rest of it, the rest of it was still there. The courtyard and everything. The whole picture didn't disappear. The apparition that we had captured disappeared off a digital camera. What kind of, what is that?
Exactly.
That's a WTF moment.
Right, and exactly. We've seen it. I had a meeting, and I was looking at this guy. This guy had photos of an ET coming through a cornfield, and he was at the edge of the cornfield looking out. And I looked at him, and he had tracks, and he had all kinds of stuff there, all right? And there was like about 5 pictures, and they were actually on a camera. They weren't on his camera anymore. He had them developed, and they were developed, and here they are looking at us, right? I had this meeting, and we get to the point where we're going to talk about these pictures. I I said, okay, I want to show you these pictures, pass these pictures around. And the first person grabs it and goes, "What, are you kidding me? It's all black." Each picture was totally black. And I sat here, physically looked at them. Another person I was with looked at them, and the 2 people that brought them were looking at them. And I saw them, and then they turned the picture that was developed turned totally black. And I had just looked at them 20 minutes ago.
That's
electronic.
That's
electronic
manipulation.
It just, right off of a developed picture. You've got them on your wall hanging somewhere from 20 years ago. You got them in your books, everything else. But yep, totally black. Black is black could be.
So when we talk about evidence collection, we still have the kit that was put together by Markham 3 years ago. It has gloves and swabs and bottles for dropping specimens in, tweezers.
And I taught him aseptic technique.
And he actually taught evidence collection in the paranormal at Paracon 2 years ago.
Right, and that's what that makes an investigative team. That makes it. We have the weekend warriors and everything else. And that's why I love talking with you guys, because you guys get it. You understand what you need to have in the field to do it. It's scientific evidence. That's what's going to make it good. And the people who are sitting in their living room and want to bust you or never get out and say
armchair,
armchair quarterbacking can go. That's the kind of stuff that butts them right down to the butt. But that's where we all need to be. That makes everything better. So we know what we saw, and also if you're there with a team and there's more than one person that witnesses, then that's good too. And
I think that's why you should never split your team up.
Right.
or at least be in pairs.
At least,
Never go trundling off by yourself because.
Well, that's just safety in general.
Well, safety in general, but it's also if you do see that full body apparition and you don't have somebody with you, did you really see it?
Right.
Or people. The brain can do really crazy crap, and if you're keyed up to see it, if you're keyed up to see it, the brain can say, "Oh, you want to see it?
And
Here it is."
And again, those are the weekend warriors.
Laying down, and you don't want to pick it up, and you don't want to cut him, and you don't want to do anything with him. Take a damn picture of it. Make sure you got somebody else there and say, "Yeah,
right."
All right, now get your phone out or get your camera out. Take the same picture. I'll lay here next to it.
Yeah. Because that, as a picture,
we both know it's there.
You would have, as a photograph like that, you would have.
The Bigfoot community at large.
You would be preaching to the choir because the only people who are going to believe it are the.
I'm going to be honest.
The Jeff Milgrams, maybe, or
right.
It's going to be a situation where. Yes, that's a legit, but you're always going to have the sour grapes.
But here's the deal: I wouldn't send that picture to the Bigfoot community as a whole.
No, I
you
don't
know what
think
though?
I would.
Okay, so a little while ago, it was sometime at the beginning of this year. They caught a Bigfoot on a WT camera.
The Washington Transportation.
Oh, I remember
camera.
That. Walking field.
It was on the news. It was on everything. Everybody looked at this picture. They were like, "Holy cow, it's a Bigfoot!" But how many people actually believed that that's what it was and didn't send in something that said, "No, actually, it's because
it's a brown
the angle of this.
Thing.
It's because of." Right. So, a photo.
Well, but there are two of them. There was the picture where, it could have been pareidolia, and then there was the video.
Yes, there was.
The video you couldn't really.
But I mean, it didn't cause anybody to go up there and go hunting Bigfoot and everything because most of them didn't believe that it was even real. They're like, "Oh, okay, propaganda."
We're going to go to our second break. Join us in 3 minutes when we come back, and who's our next?
When we come back, Arlo, get ready for your second question.
Perfect. And we'll be back, folks.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
And welcome back to S4 for our last hour tonight. Been an awesome show. So, Arnold, what's your next question?
Well, this one comes from my son, who is more into the paranormal stuff, and he's in Eastern Washington right now. He wants to know, is lizard folk in the Table Mountain Lions Rock area?
Say it again?
Table Mountain
Lions Rock over in Ellensburg area. He was wanting to know, like, if lizard folk are there.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw this out here because that is my neck of the woods.
Right.
That is that's actually right over by where my family cemetery, and when my family immigrated here, they set up in the Teanaway River Valley over there. Mm-hmm. So I've been up to Lions Rock, thousands of times. We go up there at least a couple of times a year, and I have honestly never seen any sign of any kind of lizard type people or any kind of lizard type cryptid or anything like that up there.
It's because it's your family.
I have.
Somebody's sleeping on the couch tonight.
Now I have seen something that looked almost rake-like up there a few times. And for somebody that doesn't know the difference in the two, I could see where they would associate that with a lizard type. So, I mean, it's possible, but with the amount that I've been all over those mountains, I really don't think so.
Okay.
Describe what you're talking about.
What I'm talking about? Okay, so it's more human-like. Very pale, almost white. Very large eyes, but like no hair anywhere. And very fast and in a very short little glimpse. So, like I'm saying, like I could see where somebody would, if they saw what I've seen up there, would go, was that a lizard? What was that? You know?
Now, taking that in a different direction, reptilians have been called lizard people. Mm-hmm. Whether you're talking Ellensburg type folklore as an actual lizard person, like what Kayla's talking about, or if you're talking
the one in South Carolina, that was a huge
lizard people or
a lizard man sighting.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of like swamp creature type.
Right. Okay.
I've been in Kentucky too. Kentucky's had lizard men sightings.
They probably live in the caves.
So are these lizard men actually reptilian of the alien persuasion, or are these another cryptid?
Who persuaded them to be aliens?
I would, they would be alien to us anyway.
Right.
You know, it's like the old slee stacks.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of things that we haven't discovered. I think that due to things that are happening around the world right now, some things are coming out from underground. Even some of the ancient stuff is coming around that we don't want to play with.
Right.
Rakes are seen. Rake kind of reminds me of a cave-dwelling creature because of the big eyes. Totally bald, white, almost looks humanoid in a way.
Right.
But a very dangerous type of entity because of its
fast.
teeth and its hands, fingers, and so forth like that.
Is the rake? Do you think the rake is actually a real creature, or do you think it's something like a thought form that enough people start?
Have you seen his pictures?
Well, I've seen well, yeah,
I
but
actually think
being
the
a
rig
thought
is-
form that's been materialized by belief and being a physical creature,
I
mean,
believe it's a
what-
real creature.
I think it's physical. I have a hard time with thought forms being photographed.
Right. I think
like a
rigs are
tulpa.
definitely
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so with that, yes, I do think thought forms can become physical to an extent, but not
100%.
physical. But not physical enough for a photograph. That's where our problem is. Versus a physical creature.
Honestly, weirdly enough, my take on the... Well, they gave them the name Rake. I don't think that's their actual name. Okay, just like we give Bigfoot the name Bigfoot, it's not necessarily what it's actually called to him.
Daryl.
Okay.
Daryl.
So,
Daryl.
I describe them as Rake because that's been popularized as the name. But honestly, I have a little bit of a different thought on the Rake, and I believe they are human. I believe they are humanoid completely. I believe that they are a subset of humans that instead of living on the ground, they evolved in cave systems. And they learned how to adapt their bodies and their everything for a cave system.
Like
So-
that movie Descent, where the women go down the cave and they find the cave dwellers.
Exactly.
That kind of.
I believe that
Right.
there
What's
was
bringing them
some
up,
kind
though?
of catastrophe or something that
Okay.
happened, and they all decided to go live underground in their cave systems because that worked for them. And they evolved in
They
there
adapt.
in a different way than we evolved up on the surface.
Yeah.
I do believe that they are completely human in nature, just a different evolutionary process of human. And they would have to be more of a carnivore, because what are you growing in a cave besides algae and stuff like, you're not growing crops in a cave.
No.
You are hunting bats, you are hunting animals that live nearby, that type of thing.
They're probably utilizing the fungus.
I would say that there's certain types of food
molds
that
and
they would be
funguses,
eating.
lichens.
But again, like if you look at humans, and I think this is why they have the characteristics and the skin colors and everything that they do have, is because if you were living in a cave, well, you're not getting the vitamin D that you need.
Yeah.
No.
You're not getting all of these vitamins that we need up here in order to live our day to day.
Right.
So you are adapting to only getting this subset of them, which is going to make you pale and sickly looking.
Rickets.
Exactly.
Scurvy.
Yes.
Exactly. So I think it is a group of people that learned how to live in a cave off of what was in a cave, and because of the fact that they got sick and they got this and they got that from it, over years of breeding and evolution, they became a different looking humanoid than we are.
I do like Izzy's comment, less popular opinion here. I don't think thought forms are anywhere near as common as people credit them in recent times. And I would agree with that. I don't think there's anything new. I do think Slender Man, for example, is a thought form, but he was created years ago. Mm-hmm. He's not new.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's anything new in recent times. I would agree with that. It takes multiple people.
Hatman.
Huh?
But Hatman's been around for a long time,
Yeah.
too.
Sort of like a shadow.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to see anything new because it takes either one or two people with a very strong mind, which you don't see today.
Well,
Today.
It's the ability to think.
But look
Right.
at all the people that will. Okay, if with the internet and social media, can't you credit maybe that you get? It used to be maybe you get 5 or 6 girls trying to scare each other or boys trying to scare each other.
I don't think that's enough to
But
create a
this
thought
is.
form.
But look at what we've got now.
Right.
You can say, "Oh, I saw the," and it takes on a life of its own. It goes viral
It
on the
definitely
internet,
does.
and then you get like thousands, maybe millions of people believing in it. Does that?
Yes, but I think it needs to be a specific level of belief.
Yeah.
And so we have things like creepypasta and different stuff like that out there that there's a lot of people that'll throw in 2 cents here or there. They'll say, "Oh yeah, like this happened with this,"
but no one believes.
But I don't think
enough.
anybody fully believes, like to the point where they are absolute 100%. This is what this is, and in order to make a thought form, you have to have hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people truly believing,
terrified over the same thing.
Yes, absolutely, truly believing, and at the same time. Where with the internet, 500 people saw it this week, well, 400 people saw it next week. It's not all at the same time either.
Okay, yeah, and I would agree with this. As you said, I believe thought forms need intention. Just having a lot of people read about something in passing and believe it, I don't see that creating a thought form. It has to be concentrated belief and intent.
Okay.
And I would agree with that.
All right, okay.
All right, that's kind of what I was trying to, like, you have to have a group and they have to truly...
It would have to be like a group like, well, where tulpas come from, the Buddhist monks gather together and they focus intent. It's more of a meditation
have to give it life.
You have to give it life through seriously belief and intent in it.
Just listening to creepypasta as a bunch of kids getting terrified, no, that ain't going to bring shit out.
Okay.
But you actually intentionally want to bring him to life, then and you need a whole lot of people.
You need a whole lot of people.
Okay, so say you get a population of cloistered individuals.
Uh-huh.
And they focus on something or create this thought form or this tulpa.
Mm-hmm.
Could that be the origin of the incubus and the succubus?
No, because I think the incubus and succubus are actual entities.
I do, and I agree with that.
Okay. Well, we'll look at it this way. So we had on the 24-hour marathon, we had talked about like UFO cults. Okay.
Yeah.
So in those, you have hundreds to hundreds of thousands of people that believe this is exactly how this is going to happen. This is going to be this.
Here's the thing,
but you still don't have that creating itself because there's
no.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not going to materialize a spaceship behind helibop so that everybody can go up to it.
Exactly, and there is a lot of intent and there is a lot of belief in that, but it's still not going to happen if you don't have the right set of circumstances behind it as well.
Right.
It's going to take more than just a bunch of...
It's going to take more than belief. It's going to take more than intent.
It's
going to have to be concentrated 100%.
Like the people, like that study where they actually created a mythology that they started from scratch. They said, okay, this ghost's name is going to be Philip. He had it, they did his backstory, and all these people actually created it, but that was concentrated intent.
And 100% concentrated intent.
I think so. Going back to the UFO cults, I think the difference between an actual tulpa and what UFO cults do, they're not believing in a spaceship per se materializing between helibop. They believe George Applewhite.
Yes, and they believe it's already there, so why would they focus intent on putting it there when it's already there?
Right.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
I have to wonder how absolutely empty those Heaven's Gates people's were they all self-loathing?
I use Heaven's Gate because they're the most common, but that's all the UFO cults. I mean,
well, not every UFO cult though commit suicide. I mean, what were these people? I mean, these people had professional jobs, most of them in IT. They weren't dummies,
but
they believed in this crap to the point that they were willing to drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and give their
my
money
God.
away.
And how horrible would your life have to be where that seemed to be an option?
It wouldn't have to be horrible. See, that's the thing with manipulation. When you get somebody who's so good at manipulating you, you're going to believe what they say. Like if you look at that stupid show Catfish, okay? It's on like MTV. It's where people have relationships with people online and they catfish them out of a whole bunch of money and everything without ever meeting them. Well, when you need something in your life and you want something, You are willing to do things that you never thought you would actually
Right.
do. You're willing to give money. You're willing to give everything away just to have this, because the person is such a good manipulator that they twist your mind into thinking that that's exactly what you need.
What was that group's
So
name?
this is the perfect segue into my other question.
Podcast is following us. We're going to give a shout
Okay.
out.
Let her rip.
Have
Let's
you
hear it,
guys
Francie.
ever heard of energy vampires?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
I've
Oh,
encountered
yes.
them.
Absolutely. Do they
Yes.
exist? Yes, they
Okay,
do.
so they're manipulative, they're charismatic, they're usually full of like chaos and drama. They feed on anybody that can give them, whatever they need, time, attention, whatever. And those are the cult leaders. That's what you're talking about.
Well, I used to work with somebody like that when they came. You entered the lab through a door that nobody could see, and there was more than like one person. It wasn't like we knew that, okay, it's time for this person to come through, because it could have been one of any three people. As soon as this woman entered the lab, it was like a pall fell over everyone. We could be in the middle of a joke, having a great time, having a conversation. That door would open and close, and boom, we knew that this woman had come in without being able to see her. And like I said, it could have been one of three people. And 100% of the time, when this person came in, we knew it was her. It was just like the Dementors in Harry Potter. It was like all the joy, all the humor, all the better emotions drained. And in the hour and a half, 2 hours that I had to work beside this person, by the time I got done, I felt like that was like the longest part of the day and the most draining. It could be busy all night.
But that's
buttholes and elbows the whole night.
That's not an energy.
And not be as...
But a cult leader is not an energy vamp. An energy
Right,
vamp...
exactly. That's
No.
what I was
This
gonna say.
woman was an energy vamp. Because as soon as she quit, when she quit, no longer... I mean, yeah, we knew she wasn't going to be coming in then, but I mean, there was just too much.
Most of the time, you don't even know an energy vamp's around you until you feel completely drained.
Right,
Exactly.
like with...
And they're not all charismatic or anything else.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, they are.
They're
just
manipulative, though.
Miserable ass human. They're miserable. The ones I've encountered, just miserable human beings.
And I wouldn't say that they're
just
manipulative.
suck you dry.
They're more non-emotional in any way.
They just need your
They
energy.
are just there to take your energy. They don't have a manipulation factor to it. They have a feeding factor.
That's all
to
it
it.
is. I mean,
Most of the time,
they're feeding off of other people's energy.
They're not manipulating. They are just feeding.
Well, I like the explanation that Steiger, the late, I always want to say Rod Steiger, and that's the actor. I can't think of. You know who I'm talking about. He wrote all those different books. But he talked about how energy vampires were just really nasty. You know, they might be able to appear as charismatic, or they could appear as, a hot man or a hot woman, but they were actually a parasitic, nasty being. Brad Steiger.
No, I think that can kind of be two separated things, because I think that there are like entities and I'm not going to say demons, but like more malevolent entities,
Right.
that can also take energies and I think that's more of what he was talking about, in the fact that they're disguising themselves as something else in order to do this. But then there are the people that are just everyday average people that will drain a room of happiness.
My coworker.
Or will
Right.
make a room happier.
And like,
So it's their energy that they're giving out, or their energy that they're taking in.
yeah.
And it has to do with their feelings and how they're, you know what I mean?
Like Izzy just said, most don't even realize that they're doing it.
Could that be like a reverse empath?
Most energy vampires are draining energy without realizing it because it's a form of depression.
Right.
That'll probably be. No,
I
don't think so. I think it's a form of personality disorder. I think it's an access to personality, like a character issue.
I would disagree because not all of them have personality disorder. Some of them are just depressed. You can have a depression without having a personality disorder. Especially, look at today. Look at the world today. Look how many people are depressed that normally aren't.
Yeah. And look at the, what do they call it? Everybody is, it loses my mind right now, but on Facebook you see all these things about a certain person that is, I can't even remember what they call them. I think it starts with an F or something like that, but they are just out to take from people and do everything else, and people will say that those are a vampire, but there's an actual psychological term for them.
Assholes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know that's not where you're going. That just.
But there is a true what they call energy vampire, and they don't really know that they're doing it. They do feed off of energy, and it's just the way that it is. I mean,
there's that old saying that misery loves company.
Yeah.
And if you go into a place, and it can be the happiest place in the world, there can be people laughing and talking and everything else, and you go in with an attitude of destruction, okay? And you walk into that place with this attitude and with this feeling of everything is just horrible and gloom and doom and everything else, then you are going to bring the people around you down because of it.
Right.
Yeah,
it's like that one rotten apple affecting all of them.
It's lower than everybody else's.
Hey, real quick, Tim's got a question, and this is pretty much going to be geared towards you, Barry, because you know about the Mammoth Caves. Mammoth Cave shooting incident, true or not?
Funny, not. Proven
not true?
So, yeah. Definitely not true.
In the cave? Supposedly?
I don't know. I haven't heard about it.
There was some people that were camping up there, shooting at things. It's been blown out of proportion so massively. But no, it is not true. It was reported several times in major things, but it's all the things that go on a camping trip when people are drinking and seeing things and everything else. So they actually, some of the people actually said it was just that never happened. So, and I don't believe it ever happened. We've looked into that case. I'm in the Mammoth Cave area a lot. I've got this case right now that I'm working on. You cannot believe how many people shoot guns up there. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's why the rakes woke
I'm
up.
on an investigation, and people are shooting. I mean, it's 11 o'clock at night and 12 o'clock at night, and they're just poof, poof, poof.
Yeah, I think if I lived in the Mammoth Caves, I'd wake up pissed off too.
Yeah,
cool.
So of course the rakes are coming out.
There's a lot of streets and everything else in Mammoth Cave, but there was a lot of strange things in Mammoth Cave, believe me.
Oh yeah.
And that area is, Mammoth Cave sits, I can't stress this enough, directly on the 37th parallel, and the place that I'm going, that I'm doing this investigation is on the 37th parallel, 17 feet 5 inches. So it is, it's an incredible area, and 37th parallel does have a lot to do with a lot of strange things throughout the whole world.
Right.
And,
why?
The energy level through there is just incredible, and it's been proven everywhere along it. Look at the areas that are around the 37th parallel, and you will see strange. Even on UFO cases, I can tell you the amount of cases that I get I can look at it and say, "Oh, you're on the 37th parallel." Just hear their story. I know exactly where they're at. Just people will tell me their story. I say, "Oh, you live here. You're in this area between here and here," and they're right on the 37th parallel. Some of the things that we see, the strange creatures and everything else, are always in the 37th parallel. The rate.
Does that have anything to do with the pyramids?
No, the pyramids actually are not. That's one of the myths about it that revolves around it, but they're not too far off of it. The 37th parallel, the energy between it and Tennessee and Kentucky, they always say within a degree. So if you're at the 36th or the 38th, you're in the same area. That odd things can happen around that area, but when you're directly in the 37th parallel, that is a different world. It's crazy. But the Mammoth Cave incidents and the stuff that happens in Mammoth, there are a lot of missing people that go missing that are not reported around the cave areas. There are, for whatever reason.
Yeah, but okay, so I got to play devil's advocate here because Mammoth Caves are huge. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, how easy would it be for someone who's never been there to just go walking in and disappear? Because, I mean, aren't they...
Well, they're marked trails. Most of the trails are all marked. You can go down the trail. A lot of the things are that way.
Most of them are access controlled.
Right, exactly.
Okay. You can't go in without going through some kind of a... They keep pretty tight watch on you because I've done the Mammoth Cave tours and
I'm curious, because I mean, as much as I hear about it from Barry most of the time, but
you got to remember that Mammoth. Also, there's a lot of personal land around Mammoth. Mm-hmm. This area where we're at, it's.
So when you say Mammoth Caves, I'm thinking of like the catacombs where the underground catacombs where you can go down all these different pathways and literally get lost.
Yeah, there are caves here out in Simpson County, and there are cave system, and it may be all part of the Mammoth Cave. The Mammoth Cave system is massive.
Yeah, Didn't they discover a connector between Horse Cave and Mammoth Cave?
Right, exactly.
And it's all big...
All these, so you're looking at basically where it is, the state of Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana. It can run that far. That's how massive it is.
Can I say
30% of the cave systems of Mammoth Cave has been explored.
Yeah. It's karst topography.
Yeah, it's a crazy place. It is a crazy place, but interesting and also it's a beautiful place. Also, beautiful lakes, beautiful things up there. So,
all right, we're coming down to the last half hour of the show. Cole, you actually have a question.
So, have you guys ever noticed that whenever you see a photo of a haunted house that is really popular, the house is completely dilapidated. It is just beat to crap.
And it says right underneath it, would you live here? And I always respond with, hell yeah, I would.
Why does that seem like a requirement?
For it to be dilapidated? Well, look at cartoons. Yes, I'm going to go there. Look at cartoons. Casper, they're always dilapidated.
But I mean, even for...
Like Hill House and stuff?
No, for paranormal investigators. We are more likely to go to a house that is dilapidated than a brand new building.
How many?
That's true.
Yeah, but okay.
It's a mindset, I think. You expect
it to be haunted. The older the house, especially, you expect it to be haunted.
Yeah, but an house can be very old and still be very well kept
absolutely.
And taken care of and modernized.
Look at Cedar Woolley.
Yeah.
I mean,
And there's haunted areas. I mean, where I live, there's a lot of old homes around here, and they've all been redone and everything else, and there are paranormal activity.
Well,
you hear a lot of paranormal activity, but it's got to do with the land, things that happened beforehand, everything else. So when you are in an area like this, the Civil War, and some of the tragedies that happened during those times, there's a lot of energy and a lot of staying in certain areas here. So,
And is
you
his
can build a
answer?
brand new house and it could be as haunted as heck. And I don't know why. I mean, we all kind of gravitating. We look at something and we go, "Oh, we know that house is haunted," But it's just a state of mind.
Well, Izzy says the creepy aesthetic makes the spookiness more intense.
So in itself,
Right.
So are we
isn't
bringing
that
this
itself
with
a
us?
thought form?
Correct.
That's what I'm wondering. Exactly.
Isn't
Do
that
we
in
bring
itself
it
a
with
thought
us?
form? Are we not? Would we
Well,
not be
so not a
bringing
thought-
that with us? Not a thought form per se, but like
It's like somatic.
yeah, because
you
like are
expect
we
it
not
to be haunted.
Well, but not just that. But are we not bringing the energy with us? Maybe.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly, 100%.
You expect that to be haunted, therefore it will
Like there
be.
could actually be nothing there
You're going to see something, but the
except for the
pareidolia,
one that's following you.
Or
the pareidolia is going to be
It
phenomenal.
could be the thing that's attached to or following.
What do you mean,
you
no?
around. It could be anything.
if you go into that
Follow us.
situation, like if you go into the creepy house like that, everything you experience is going to be seen through the filter, that predetermined filter. You're expecting that to happen, so you kind of
Exactly.
you might
So you're
just
making
be normal
things happen.
creaks
You'll
and
make
cracks.
things
Okay.
It might be mundane things because you're in the creepy house doing the investigation.
When you talk for your wife here, you got to pause between.
Well,
two
she
comments.
says it's actually
no,
going
no, no,
to
no. She
inhibit-
says no.
Oh, okay. Oh, no. It's actually going to inhibit your investigation because you're going in expecting it.
Sorry,
Okay.
Izzy.
And yeah, I could see that too.
Absolutely.
You're gonna
Do you know how many?
you're going to see things that aren't there.
Do you know how many brand new houses are built on like Indian burial grounds and
Right.
stuff like that? Like,
Especially
But-
around here.
Oh, my
But
God.
okay, but hold on. Let's take that a different direction. We all know that spirits get pissed off when you do renovations. How many of these old historic sites are completely renovated?
Almost all of them.
And,
all the ones that haven't fallen down.
well, yeah.
Right.
Except
And
for
just the fact that they're renovated is going to increase activity, I would think, based on
I
that.
don't think that applies every time because
You're gonna
Not every
have-
time, no.
the White House is supposedly haunted.
Oh yeah.
Well, look how many times they renovated it.
But no, but that the big renovation that they did in the 60s, there is no mention of any activity during that time. There's activity the rest of the freaking
But you
time,
know
but
what?
not during that time.
I'm surprised they even mention that. They won't talk about all the aliens and whatnot that the government's hiding, but they'll come out and openly admit the White House is haunted. Yeah, really?
Because they're hoping if Lincoln's still there, he'll still run for president.
Oh, I hope he
He's
does.
got another 4 years in him.
No.
I hope he does. We need Lincoln back.
What brings people to a museum or anywhere more than anything is if you say it's haunted.
The quiet.
The White House is open to tourism.
Yeah, so is
Other than that,
Ottingen Hall.
Mrs. Lincoln, how'd you like the show?
I am in Ottingen Hall a lot. It is a known haunt. It has so much tragedy, so much blood on the property, everything else. 9,000 Confederate soldiers, 5,000 Union soldiers. It is a haunt. What makes it there? Water, limestone, whatever. The home itself is 173 years old. It is upkept pretty well. I still get people that come in and they go, it's dirty. Well, we want to try to keep it like a family's house, so we let you get up and personal. It's not the kind of museum that's got ropes and you can only look in one room, you know. And you have to stand in the hallway to do it. There's a lot of different types of things. All these places, and we all know that there is essence everywhere, the spirit energy all over the place, and I think it's growing and growing more and more because of some of the activities we do. I think paranormal investigations have brought out more of these things.
That brings me up to a point. Does that become an attraction then? I mean, does the fact that you're investigating it draw entities to it?
It can.
Yeah,
And
it definitely can. I agree with you there too. But the one thing about it is the reason why it becomes that area is because we charge $5 for people to go through it. A house that's a 173-year-old house, and we are a nonprofit. We're not run by the state or the government. So when you are trying to get funds to it, I mean, I've got roofs coming down on some of the outbuildings that I need to repair. I've got a slave shack that just fell down. Mm-hmm. The paranormal investigations doesn't even really, it keeps the doors open. If not for that, there would not be a, if it was just for the museum, you come in and look at what we have there, which is great. We have some great period pieces, but at the same time, it doesn't keep the place running. And so the paranormal, if it wasn't haunted and we didn't see things there, that place would not be part of the history to be able to keep it going and have other people there to see it.
And that's the only time I can respect charging for a paranormal investigation, is if it goes into a historic site. There are groups out there that do haunted tours, and not for the oh my God, there's a ghost here, but to keep a historic site going.
Damn right.
Yes.
Yeah,
we just.
I can respect that part.
Donated all the money to the Acting Hall, which is a blessing. But there's also these groups out there. I won't mention certain ones that I really won't. I don't care for, but they're there to make money themselves. They take the money away from these places, and they overbook the area. Look, Acting Hall is not meant for 100 people to be there for an investigation. It's not meant for 40 people. You know, there are these places, and they just book it, and these people keep coming. And it's a noisy place. Some people may get EVPs, but they're all questionable because of the fact
it's too much noise in the background.
That's exploitation. That's not investigation. That's exploitation.
Yeah.
That is exactly right. That's
and
exactly
the part
right.
of that always ticks me off, too, is when you get a large group like that, and they go running through and they try to find anything that they can, anywhere that they can, they are not only...
They do more damage than good.
If they're damaging the property in certain areas so that they can get something, where you don't need to harm the area to get something.
There's no respect for the spirits there either.
That's it. It's the respect. It's losing respect for the spirits, but it's also, you cannot believe how many people come to those events that are like, I'm psychic, I'm this, I see this, I see that. And it brings out all of the charlatans and everybody else, Yeah, you're about as psychic as my left toe. They'll tell you all kinds of stuff, and you go. And we just let them talk because why even get involved in it? Because they'll tell you stuff that happened there that has never happened, and we just kind of go, okay.
Thank you for that.
But then there's the psychics that come in there and then they talk to you and just like going, holy crap,
Yeah.
Yes, but usually when you find what I would call a true psychic or a true empath or a true anything, they are not going to be in that group of 200 plus people. They're going to be in that group of like them and one other person or them and like 3 other people. Yep. And they are going to be there on a non-busy day and they are going to want to talk to whoever actually owns the home or whoever actually and say, hey, okay, so I picked this up. Is there any validity to this?
So true. That is so true.
And anytime you open up a historic site like that, if you do know what you're doing, you go in there and you meet the spirits. And you ask them. Hey.
Well, do they not sense, like, if you're respectful? I mean, if you're a resident ghost and you've got somebody that's coming in being a disrespectful, confrontational butthole, I mean, I reckon they're people. They were people. They maybe still are. You're in their home. Acting like an asshole. How would we, if you're sitting in your living room and a stranger walks in,
and throwing bottles and making,
so there is some of that blowback if you go in there being a jerkwad.
Okay, my favorite.
Those are the people that I see that are scratched all the time.
Right.
Really funny. And then they'll be in it. I don't believe in this crap. This is horse shit. You fake this or you do that. And those are the ones that may leave with a little mark on them. But, it's funny because every time that we walk into the hall or we do an investigation, or some people do investigations in there, the good ones come in and they're like, hello, thank you for allowing us to be in your home.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful home. Want to do that. And those are the people who understand and are respectful to spirits.
And they're
and
invited
the other
back.
ones, and they're the ones that are going to get the evidence. Let me tell you, they're going to get to hear the true stories of a spirit, and they're going to deliver that information.
Now,
so.
I would say that with a place as known as like that hall, and there's several other places like that are really well known as this is what this is. You got to really, really watch people that are there to make their money, because so like for instance, give me 2.5 hours of research time, and I can go there and I can tell you all kinds of stuff about anybody you want to know anything about.
Right.
That has ever died on this property, that has ever been on this property. I could tell you 1.5 million things about them.
You're gonna probably meet Sam.
Right. It's that person. They can tell you the things that nobody but the owner knows, or nobody but the land estate person, whoever it is that owns this piece or that knows the actual history behind this. It's those people that
are valid.
Valid. Those are the people that I love to talk about. So, Carly, you're welcome anytime, and you can spend 2-3 hours there if you want. Because that's the kind of stuff that we enjoy so much, because a lot of time with our evidence, it also validates the evidence that is being captured and seen there also, because they're talking about the same spirits and the same things that you do. I had one walk in one time, and she looked at me and she said, she was standing outside, and I said, what is, you okay? And she says, I first I've ever been here, and I didn't expect to see a child that was burnt. And it just took me back, because my son was just recently burnt, and it really was hard for me to deal with. And then she walks in, and I just kind of let her walk around, and she's in one of the rooms, and she says, sir, would you come here for a second? And there's, I'm getting this, and I apologize, but this lady wants to tell you something. And I said, okay. And she says, you call her Elizabeth. And that is her name, but she is known as, she wants to be known as Lizzie. That is what she was known as, and she would like you to call her Lizzie. And I said, oh, that's interesting. And she turned around and she says, she wants you to know something to make sure that that you understand it. She says, you saw her last night, but only for a second. And I said, oh shit, I did see her last night. And I said, where did I see her? And she told me exactly where I saw her. And
that's the kind of psychic you want on your team.
Oh yeah, that's the kind of psychic that just vetted herself.
You want on your team, exactly. That's the kind of stuff that makes you go, thank you.
I really love. I haven't always been into the paranormal, but I've always been into history. I love going into museums and different historical places. And when you get that tour guide, who, if you start asking questions, and you start asking questions about the people that live there or the people that work there or whatever is the situation, and they get uncomfortable. I love those situations, because that tells me that not only is the situation real, but it's...
What's that?
What is that?
Motorcycle in the background.
What is that?
It's a big enough situation. It's a good enough situation that it scared them, and they're uncomfortable talking about it because they don't know what to do.
Right.
Those have always been my favorite tour guides to talk to.
Yeah.
And I will contest, every time we go on vacation anywhere, every time we do anything, we have to stop at all of the local museums and go through every single tiny little one of them and get the history of the area. My husband is nuts about history.
We didn't go to the Packwood Museum.
No, we didn't. That's because
if
I told
Packwood
him
had a
I
freaking
wasn't
museum,
allowed
we'd
to.
go.
We were vacationing.
History is a big part of. You have to love. If you're an investigator, it's part of your research too. You want to know history. You want to know what's been going on in the area, so that helps you understand what happened and what you're going to run against.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, before we're down to the last 10 minutes here. Before we end, I want to throw a shout out on Twitter. We just got followed by a new podcast that's out there. They're called The High Kind. Their motto is "The Spliff is out there," and their hosts spend each episode satirically breaking down stories involving aliens, conspiracies, paranormal stuff, and the occult. These guys are honestly absolutely hilarious. If you get a chance, listen to them. They're on Spotify. They're on Apple.
They're probably laughing at us right now.
Yeah, they're probably laughing at us. They're a very entertaining group. So if you get a chance, it's at The High Kind. So on Twitter.
And that's why, honestly, and nothing against them, I think comedy is great, especially right now.
Yep.
But that's why we will never have a comedian on the show, because honestly, when it comes to what we talk about with the serious issues of paranormal, there's no comedy in what we do.
That's just it. We say in the beginning, we're going to discuss the serious.
Right. But there is room for comedy.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Just don't make fun of us or we'll come after you.
Oh,
Jesus. And if you do, at least mention the show. Hey.
Yeah. Carlo, you mentioned why they're called the rake. One of the reasons why that they're called the rake is because of their hands remind people of a rake. Their fingers are long and done, and it may be something that they use in caves with being able to get the water fish that are in the caves. So they may be able to use that in that way. And
not only that, but I would assume that I would assume that the longer fingers and the way that they can get would be easier to climb cave walls as well.
Like
because you can get your hands in there and move it around.
And that's kind of what they are like. I mean, that's a good analogy of it would be a golem type thing.
Well, yeah, a golem was like a hobbit type creature, but he moved into the cave to get away from light because he started to become so evil. He couldn't take the light of day, and then he evolved into that nasty little
creatures.
Right.
Also, hey, for those listening to us on Spreaker or on the website, please hit that like button. It lets us know that you're here, lets us know that you're listening, lets us know that you like what we do.
I did.
Or we'll come and get you.
Oh, God.
Markham is all about the viciousness tonight. Like, Jesus.
Yes, we will hunt you down.
And as he says, S4 does not in any way condone the threat or implied violence
We're gonna make
or retaliation.
We're going to make an Izzy book.
I'm kidding, everybody.
I'm not. I mean, what?
What? Now Cole's the violent one.
I'm always the violent one. Ask my kids.
Yeah, I got a suggestion for you. Have you ever done a show on synchronicities?
We have.
Yeah. I think there's one about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Synchron.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Coincidence.
About seeing 111, 222, 333.
Oh, yeah. We talked about that Jim Carrey movie.
23.
No, Mr. Popper's Penguins. No, I'm kidding. We talked about 23, and there was another one that was really good for that stuff.
Mandela effect.
Yeah, wow. Jeez, let's not get into that.
Don't get me started.
That is my rabbit hole. Let's do it. That's it.
All know that.
Bringing up another Mandela Effect show. Yep, it's happening.
Ladies and gentlemen, do not forget to listen to Into the Fire this week. Who's your guest, Barry? You have a good guest on this coming week.
This week's guest is Susan
Sarandon?
Yes, exactly. Susan Shastner. She is a great. It's her birthday. We're going to have a lot of fun with her. She is an award-winning author. She's #1 author 12 times, International Author Award. She is a a fantastic energy person dealing with energy and the consciousness, and it's going to be a super show. So thank you for the pitch. We appreciate it.
Oh, outstanding. Love to tune in.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Susan.
Happy
birthday.
And no, we're not going to break into song.
Happy birthday to you.
No.
Oh,
Shut
sorry.
So with that, thank you.
Release the hound.
S4 does not condone the use of the happy birthday song.
No.
Oh.
So,
Or Kayla singing.
thank you for being on, Arnold. You can expect Arnold to be on Roundtable probably every month now. Love hearing my old buddy. And
Hey, I got a question for you, Eric, before
What?
you leave.
what?
The Forest Service Road 17, Jim Creek area, is that out toward...
Jim Creek is above Arlington.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, I got the right place. All right, I found some interesting.
Yeah, interesting stuff, huh?
So I need you to research everything East Skagit County and East Snohomish County, because they all tie together with Upper Finney.
Yeah,
And they will all, yeah, we're going to have fun on that expedition. I think we're going to do some reconning tomorrow, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, folks, thank you for listening tonight.
Thank you, Francie. Even though you
You're welcome.
quiet. You were really quiet tonight. What's going on?
Yep.
Couldn't get a word edgewise.
I talk too much.
She's got Bigfoot up and
Dang
down.
it, Barry.
But anyway, thank you for listening. Have a safe week. And we will see you next week. And remember, keep your eyes to the skies.
Good night, all.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.